Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. The end of the world. The materials consumed by women will be returned 10,000 times. Chapter 61. Ding. One day ago, Jong Zin consumed a pack of biscuits and returned 800 packs. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ding. 2 days ago, Jong Zin consumed one ham sausage and got 800 sausages back. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ding. 3 days ago, Jong Zin consumed a pack of instant noodles and returned 800 packs. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ding. 9 days ago, Jong Zin consumed an enlightenment fruit, chi and blood explosion, and returned 800 of them. It has been put into the portable space. Jong Fan's eyes lit up. Blood bursts out. It should be Jong Zin's explosive ability. I finally have a decent combat ability. Jong Fan immediately took out a chi and blood explosion fruit and ate it. Chi and blood burst. 3 stars, you consume a lot of physical energy, and there is a short burst of chi and blood, which improves the overall physical fitness by 100% minus 500%. The more the improvement, the more physical energy is consumed. Overall physical fitness increased 5 times. Jong Fan's eyes lit up. This fruit is extremely effective for people with super high overall physical fitness like me. Jong Fan's heart moved. Blood bursts out. 100% status. In an instant, Jong Fan's whole body was filled with strength. At the same time, physical strength is obviously consumed rapidly. Even if you don't move, your energy will continue to be consumed. I can last about an hour in this state. Jong Fan felt it for a moment and opened the properties panel. Host. Jong Fan. Comprehensive physical fitness. 90 plus 90, average 10 for ordinary adults. Will. 25, average 10 for ordinary adults. 180 points of comprehensive physical fitness. Jong Fan punched fiercely. Boom. The surface of the wall was directly smashed, and some of the masonry inside was also broken. The fingers were unscathed. When fighting, your physical strength is consumed faster. Jong Fan carefully felt the physical exertion of punching, and estimated that he could only punch 100 punches at most before his physical strength was exhausted. Try 500%. Jong Fan's heart moved. Boom. Comprehensive physical fitness. 90 plus 450. With a comprehensive physical constitution of 510 points, Jong Fan's body has undergone a qualitative change. His height actually increased by 20 centimeters, his body grew larger, and the air around his body became slightly distorted. Between exhalations and inhalations, the powerful airflow can actually affect the airflow around the body. The heart beats like a drum. Boom, boom, boom. Blood rushes through the veins. Every cell is filled with unparalleled power. He clenched his fists, feeling like a god who could destroy any enemy. This state made Jong Fan extremely intoxicated, and he punched fiercely. Boom. The whole wall collapsed. In just a few breaths, Jong Fan was so exhausted that he quickly exited the 500% state. Call. Jong Fan's height returned to normal. The surrounding air also calmed down. Even after withdrawing 500%, Jong Fan still had shortness of breath and could not recover for a long time. At the same time, all the bones and muscles in my body ached, as if I had been beaten violently. Jong Fan sat on the chair tiredly, but he was extremely happy in his heart. Although the side effects are severe, this state is definitely a life-saving weapon. With 500% power, I can kick the mutated frog like a ball. Jong Fan took out another handful of chi and blood explosion fruit and ate it. Didn't get a star. I ate again and still didn't get a star. Jong Fan ate a total of 50 pills, but still didn't get a star. I just ate a bunch of Will Link fruits and felt nauseated. I really couldn't eat any more today, so I had to stop. Jong Fan thought about it. 3 Will Link fruits can raise stars, but 50 chi and blood explosion fruits can't raise stars. Eating physical strengthening fruits also raises stars very slowly. This must be related to physique adaptability. My physique is probably suitable for Will-type fruits, but not very compatible with Constitution-type fruits. Regarding the ability to burst out energy and blood, Jong Fan still has many detailed skills to practice. Jong Zin's technique of using force in a short burst and then ending it immediately can greatly extend the combat time and save physical energy. In addition, Zhang Zilin can control local outbreaks of the body instead of the whole body, which can naturally reduce physical exertion. Zhang Fan pondered and looked at the woman in front of him. Should I kill her? Zhang Fan was a little hesitant. Zhang Zilin is still in a coma. Judging from the light on her body, her overall physical fitness is only between 20 to 30. Even when I fought with her just now, the brightness she erupted was not half as good as mine. Even so, he can still fight under pressure. She is definitely a martial arts genius. Too dangerous. Zhang Fan thought of her battle with the mutated frog and felt his scalp numb. With a comprehensive physical constitution of more than 20 points, he can fight the mutant frog back and forth. This woman's fighting talent was simply outrageous, and he didn't dare to keep such a woman by his side. If Zhang Zilin breaks out suddenly, the chance of killing herself is extremely high. Either kill or stay away. Zhang Fan stroked the cold pistol, his eyes turned cold, and he made up his mind. He loaded a bullet and opened the safety. At this moment, Zhang Zilin woke up. Zhang Fan stopped and looked at her silently. Zhang Zilin blinked her long eyelashes a few times and slowly opened her beautiful eyes. She looked around blankly, as if she couldn't figure out where she was, and she didn't react until she saw Zhang Fan. She was startled and stood up suddenly, but she didn't move at all. Only then did she realize that her hands and feet were tied together with layers of steel wires. When I saw the marks on the body and the messy clothes, I was stunned. It took a long time to understand what happened. Zhang Zilin was shocked, angry and ashamed, her heart was pounding. After a long time, she raised her head, stared at Zhang Fan, her eyes were red and said, "Shameless." Zhang Fan was surprised. The light on this woman's body is actually not red, but yellow, even mixed with a little green. Zhang Fan couldn't understand it at all, but he was greatly shocked. Is this woman seriously ill? You don't even want to kill me. Zhang Fan was silent for a moment and then tentatively said, "Stop pretending, you're not angry at all." Zhang Zilin's expression was obviously flustered, and soon she became sullen and said coldly, "HMPH, don't give me a chance, I will definitely kill you." Zhang Fan looked at Zhang Zilin in confusion. The light on this woman's body was a mixture of yellow and green, with no trace of red at all. Zhang Fan frowned. Camouflage. Impossible. Even if it is a disguise, he should be smiling on the outside, but in his heart he wants to castrate himself first and then kill him. Zhang Zilin is not like that at all now. She couldn't possibly know that I could sense the hostility in her heart. Zhang Fan narrowed his eyes. Why did you come to me? Only then did Zhang Zilin remember her purpose and wondered how Ding Zhengli was doing. She said a little anxiously, "I need medicine." Zhang Fan nodded. "I have medicine, but why should I give it to you?" Zhang Zilin sneered. "If you don't give it to me, I'll beat you until you do, you gun thief." Zhang Fan was speechless. Where do you have the nerve to say such things? You have never beaten me, and yet you were arrested by me. Ha ha. Zhang Zilin blushed and said angrily, "You don't dare to fight me head on, you are not a man at all. Don't you know whether you are a man or not?" Zhang Fan was too lazy to argue with the woman and repeated, "You didn't beat me, and you were arrested by me." Zhang Zilin was embarrassed. "If you have the guts, let me go and fight again." Zhang Fan said calmly, "You didn't beat me, and you were arrested by me." Zhang Zilin was furious. "Would you say anything else?" "Okay." Zhang Fan smiled and took out a prescription. "You want these medicines?" Even the prescriptions he kept close to him were taken away by him. Zhang Zilin blushed and turned away, not wanting to talk to Zhang Fan. Snort. Zhang Fan took out a pile of medicines according to the prescription and placed them on the ground. "I can give you the medicine, but you have to answer some questions for me." Facing the life-saving medicine, Zhang Zilin could only lower her head, took a deep breath and said, "What do you want to know?" Zhang Fan saw that the yellow light on Zhang Zilin's body slowly disappeared, and there were more and more green colors. If so, maybe, this woman can be cultivated. But it's still too dangerous to keep around. Zhang Fan's heart was racing, but he asked, "What's your name?" "Zhang Zilin. Have you ever studied martial arts or fighting or something like that?" Zhang Zilin was secretly proud and pretended to be cold and authentic. "I have studied it and am ranked 3rd in women's sanda in the country. I learned Chinese martial arts from my grandfather since I was a child." No wonder it's so powerful. Zhang Fan thought. With her experience of practicing martial arts and Sonda since childhood, coupled with the Qi and blood explosion fruit, her personal combat power has reached a level that is unimaginable by ordinary people. Zhang Fan asked the last question. It's so dangerous outside, why did you bring so many people out? He originally thought Zhang Zilin would hide it, but Zhang Zilin said it openly. Go to the TV station's rescue point. Your ability to drill through the ground and through walls is so useful, why don't you go there? Zhang Fan said doubtfully. Does the TV station have an officially established rescue center? Zhang Zilin looked confused. Yes, don't you know? Zhang Fan said seriously. I don't know, no one I've ever met knows. If we had known, groups of survivors would have been approaching the TV station. But Zhang Fan has never seen this situation before. Could it be that the government only accepts official organizations such as police investigators and not ordinary people? It doesn't make sense. Why? Moreover, Zhang Fan also met several police investigators who were investigating survivors, but they didn't know about it either. Do we only accept people with special powers who are police officers? Why is this? Interesting. Zhang Fan narrowed his eyes. The TV station's rescue point is not too far from the Fortune Center. I want to see what you are playing. Zhang Zilin was very confused. Why is this? Why did you notify me but not you? Zhang Fan looked at Zhang Zilin. Do you still want to go to the TV station's rescue center now? Zhang Zilin couldn't help but clenched her fists when she heard this and said angrily. Of course, I will send all these survivors to the TV station rescue point. Unless you kill me, I will never stay here. I don't want to keep you here. It's too dangerous. Zhang Fan nodded calmly. Good. Zhang Zilin was stunned. Will you let me go? Zhang Fan's heart moved. Warp anchor. An invisible and tasteless subspace anchor was fixed on Zhang Zilin. In this way, as long as Zhang Zilin reaches the rescue point of the TV station, he can pass in silently. Zhang Fan instinctively felt that there was something strange about the TV station's rescue point. If you go there rashly, you will most likely not get any good results. The most critical problem is that I don't know where the rescue point is. The TV station is probably just a facade. It's very likely that someone will be watching you as soon as you send it to the TV station. In this era, surveillance methods are hard to guard against. If you have sense, other people with special abilities may have some mysterious methods. Therefore, it is better to let insiders like Zhang Zilin who have received the news to explore the way. All he had to do was keep an eye on Zhang Zilin. If Zhang Zilin was tricked to death, Zhang Fan would not be heartbroken. Anyway, the Qi and blood explosion fruit has been obtained. Zhang Zilin is of little value, she is just a beautiful woman, everywhere. Zhang Fan took out a pair of pliers and cut off the wires on Zhang Zilin's hands and feet. Zhang Zilin immediately jumped up and looked at Zhang Fan doubtfully. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Zhang Fan chuckled. If it was before getting the Qi and blood explosion fruit, he would really be a little scared. Now that he also has an explosion of energy and blood, he is no longer afraid. In a head-on battle, Zhang Zilin is no longer her opponent. Zhang Fan just didn't dare to keep her by his side for fear of her sneak attack. As long as you throw her far away, there will be no danger. You can also go to the TV station to help yourself, why not? Zhang Fan said confidently. If I can catch you once, I can catch you a second time. Zhang Fan's courage shocked Zhang Zilin. She wanted to refute, but she was indeed caught. Zhang Zilin took a deep look at Zhang Fan and said with a cold face. One day, I will come back with revenge. Zhang Fan sneered. Welcome to deliver. Zhang Zilin's face was ashen. However, Zhang Fan saw more green light on her body. What a duplicitous woman. Zhang Fan roughly understood this woman's psychology. Mu Chang. She has practiced martial arts since she was a child and has great talent. It is estimated that no man can beat her, making her look down on those weaklings. It wasn't until I took care of him that I felt a man's power for the first time. Zhang Fan walked into the wall and disappeared in front of Zhang Zilin. Zhang Zilin stared at the wall, not knowing what she was thinking. Suddenly, a hand passed through the wall and threw a female sportswear over. Zhang Zilin's face turned red. Her clothes were all torn and she needed new ones. Hundan. Jong Zin bit her lip and put on her sportswear in embarrassment. The size of the clothes actually fits me perfectly. This made Jong Zin blush even more. She wanted to grab Jong Fan and beat him up to relieve his anger, but she couldn't find him at all. LSP. Jong Zin could only curse and quickly go upstairs. She saw a group of survivors lying in the corridor on the 22nd floor. Although these survivors were disheveled, sallow and thin, they were obviously not controlled by anyone, and there were no signs of abuse. HMPH, that guy is pretty good. Jong Zin thought to herself that since the survivors were not controlled, she would not be troublesome. Now the survivors have reached the upper limit of her abilities. She hurried upstairs. Everyone also saw Jong Zin, feeling envious and jealous in their hearts. Another beautiful woman. I guess I'm also looking for Jong Fan. People's hearts are not as old as they used to be. Jong Zin came to the top of the building, exploded with all her strength, and jumped back again. Jong Fan kept watching her leave before he felt relieved. He moved his body, but the sequelae of the 500% explosion were not over yet, and his muscles ached all over. Jong Fan bared his teeth and went home to rest. Yang Jiawei glanced at his watch from time to time and was so anxious. Officer Jong, why haven't you come back yet? The survivors who followed Jong Zin also became anxious. Jong Zin just went to get some medicine and promised to come back immediately. It has been more than an hour. Where is the person? It doesn't matter if Jong Zin dies, what will we eat in the future? If Jong Zin hadn't gone out to look for supplies again and again, they would have starved to death. This is how to do all. I told you not to get medicine a long time ago. How can I survive now that I'm injured? Hey, that kid Jong Fan is not easy to deal with. The students Jong Zin had just rescued looked at each other in shock. They gathered in a corner and secretly discussed what to do next. Sun Janmin was restless. He had just distributed food, and many people were dissatisfied with the distribution results. If Jong Zin doesn't come back, he will probably suffer. Sun Janmin whispered. Officer Jong won't be caught by that Jong Fan, right? That guy is notoriously lecherous. Impossible, Yang Jiawei said flatly. Officer Jong is very powerful. You have no idea how strong she is. How could a convenience store clerk beat her? Sun Janmin could only apologize. When he came to his wife Li Ailing's side, his face became heavy without concealing it. I feel like something is going to happen to that policewoman. Should we share the boxes of instant noodles we hid with everyone? Li Ailing said anxiously. Old son, you can't share it. Each of us can get 3 days worth of food now. What about after 3 days? Are we going to starve? There was indeed a lot of food in Ma Shanshi's hand, but it couldn't be shared equally by so many people. Sun Janmin was clever and secretly hid 5 boxes of instant noodles. He is very knowledgeable. 3 of the boxes belong to Jong Zin. But now that Jong Zin doesn't come back, he is scared. If someone discovers it, he will definitely be beaten to death. Jong Zin didn't return for a long time, and everyone's psychology became subtle. What should I do if Jong Zin dies? What should I do if Jong Zin is caught by Jong Fan? What should I do if Jong Zin is seriously injured? Just then, footsteps came from the stairwell. Jong Zin came back, with an unusually rosy face and no signs of injury at all. She also changed into clean sportswear and looked in great spirits. Everyone felt relieved immediately, and Sun Janmin and Yang Jiawei gathered around them. Officer Jong is back. Officer Jong is finally back. Officer Jong, have you got the medicine? Jong Zin took out a plastic bag of medicine. Dr. Du was overjoyed. So much. So complete. Ding Zhengli and the injured were even more excited. You are saved. Everyone started to flatter him one after another. Officer Jong is so awesome, he really got the medicine back. Officer Jong, success is imminent. Officer Jong must have beaten up that Jong Fan, and even robbed him of a set of clothes. Jong Zilin's cheeks turned slightly red. You were robbed, okay. She touched her belly. Sun Janmin smiled flatteringly and brought a box of soaked instant noodles and a bottle of purified water. Officer Jong, the food and water have been distributed. Excuse me, Director Sun. Jong Zilin nodded, took the instant noodles and started eating. Sun Janmin lowered his voice and said softly, Officer Jong, I left 3 boxes of instant noodles for you, They are upstairs in 3303. Hee hee. Jong Zin put down the instant noodles and looked at Sun Jonmin coldly. What did you say? Sun Jonmin was startled. Too little. Sun Jonmin gritted his teeth and painfully took out one of his 2 boxes. 4 boxes. 4 boxes. Look at my brain, I remembered it wrong, haha. HMPH. Jong Zin slammed the instant noodles onto the ground, causing water to splash all over the floor. Sun Jonmin's heart was beating wildly and he felt that it was going to be worse. The situation was completely different from what he thought. Jong Zin shouted, Yang Jiawei. Yang Jiawei ran over in panic. Leader, what's the matter? Jong Zin said, how many boxes did you divide? Yang Jiawei is baffled. What? How many boxes of what? Jong Zin frowned and said, instant noodles. Yang Jiawei said stupidly, how many boxes are there? There are only 5 packages in total. Jong Zilin's face became even more ugly. She didn't know whether Yang Jiawei was pretending to be stupid or was deceived by Sun Jonmin. If it's the latter, then Yang Jiawei is really a coward. I asked you to distribute supplies with Sun Jonmin just because you were afraid of being manipulated by him, but you actually don't know anything. How did you and Sun Jonmin distribute supplies? Yang Jiawei said fearfully. Director Sun will take a few people to move in, and I will record the records. Jong Zin was speechless. Shabi. In the past, Ding Zhengli was responsible for distributing supplies. Now that Ding Zhengli was injured, he handed it over to Yang Jiawei, but this guy really couldn't hold up the wall. Sun Jonmin knew something was wrong, so he pulled Jong Zin anxiously and said, Officer Jong, listen to my explanation. Explain what? Jong Zin shook off his hand and said sternly, I want to see what's upstairs. Everyone go. Other survivors also noticed something fishy. It sounded like Sun Jonmin was pulling some strings, and everyone stared at Sun Jonmin unkindly. Sun Jonmin was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. If he was really found out, he would be dead. Why is this female police officer so stupid? I have to think of a way. Sun Jonmin gritted his teeth, his face changed, and he said loudly, Officer Jong, I also have a question. Those materials were all collected by Mashanshi from our Building B. Why should they be distributed equally to you people? This is robbery. The materials I keep privately are not for myself, but for everyone in Building B left it. If you don't believe it, ask them. He winked at the few people who followed him in to carry supplies. These are all his acquaintances, and they also share the benefits. They were very smart and reacted immediately and followed. Yes, Director Sun just said that these supplies are reserved for the survivors of Tower B. Director Sun is a good man, you can't accuse him unjustly. Why do you outsiders share our supplies in Building B? Faced with such sophistry, Jong Zin laughed angrily. Sun Jonmin retorted unceremoniously, the person surnamed Ma is a Haizhui. I dared to ask Officer Jong, are you the same? What qualifications do you have to rob our supplies? These are the supplies for all of us in Building B. Now that he has lost his face, he can only pretend to be petitioning for the people and grit his teeth. Suddenly the survivors split into 2 groups. The survivors who followed Jong Zin were afraid that their supplies would be taken away, so they said angrily, if Officer Jong hadn't rescued you, you wouldn't even have food to eat, and you would still be distributing supplies. Distribution is nonsense. Maid, the ungrateful fool. The survivors of Building B were also hesitant at first, unable to figure out what trick Sun Jonmin was playing. However, those few people also stood up and scolded each other from their own standpoint. It was Mashanshi who robbed us of our supplies. Why should you divide it? Who asked you to live here? We don't welcome you. All outsiders, get out. You are not welcome in the Fortune Center. Jong Zin fell silent. Is this kind of survivor worth saving? Several things happened in succession today, which made her very disappointed. Is it right or wrong for me to persist for so long and spend so much effort to protect? Is it valuable? When Sun Jonmin saw Jong Zilin's expression, he felt disdainful and said sincerely, Officer Jong, I am also responsible for the residents of the Fortune Center. You divided the food and then left. What will we do? Several people behind Sun Jonmin echoed. Yes, yes. Director Sun is the most selfless person. My wife is definitely not someone who is looking for petty gains. Officer Jong, you have misunderstood him. Jong Zilin looked at Sun Janmin and others with disgust. She is just old-fashioned, not stupid. She doesn't want to stay with people like Sun Janmin for a second now. But how to deal with Sun Janmin is a troublesome matter. What a shame. Sun Janmin proudly scolded Jong Zilin in his heart and said righteously. Officer Jong, we are different. I am the director of the sub-district office of this street, and I am responsible for the nearby residents. Poof. A steel bar suddenly appeared and penetrated Sun Janmin's head from top to bottom, pinning him to the ground. Sun Janmin died instantly. The scene was completely silent, and everyone looked at the scene in front of them in horror. At this time, Zhang Fan passed through the floor and landed lightly. He smiled and said, "That's very good. Don't say it next time. It makes me sick to my stomach." Zhang Zilin looked at Zhang Fan with a complicated expression, wondering whether he should stop him or not. Li Ailing screamed, "Ah, you killed my husband. You have to pay for it with your life." She rushed towards Zhang Fan with bared teeth and claws. Boom! A bullet hole appeared on her forehead, and she fell to the ground with a thud. Everyone at the scene was frightened and backed away. Zhang Zilin's expression also changed. Why did he even kill Li Ailing? Zhang Fan smiled and looked at several of Sun Janmin's connections. They were glowing with red light. "Don't kill me. Don't kill me." Sun Janmin asked us to hide everything, so I only got 10 packs of instant noodles. Brother, it has nothing to do with me. It really has nothing to do with me. It's all what that old guy Sun Janmin asked us to do. Zhang Zilin couldn't bear it anymore and said loudly, "That's enough. Zhang Fan, their crime will not lead to death." Zhang Fan smiled cheerfully. "Oh, is it so?" Bang, 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 bang. Several people were all shot in the forehead and died. The rest of the people were so scared that they pissed themselves and backed away. Zhang Zilin finally couldn't stand Zhang Fan's killing spree and said angrily, "What right do you have to take away other people's lives?" Zhang Fan said calmly, "Just because I have a gun and they don't." Zhang Zilin argued, "You have this dangerous idea of supremacy of force. We can't do this. We should arrest them and put them on trial." Judgment. Zhang Fan sneered and asked coldly, "Who will judge? You, them, or who?" Of course Zhang Zilin couldn't answer. Zhang Fan said every word. "In peacetime, courts represent power, so courts judge. Now, I have the greatest force, so I have the final right of judgment. If I say he is right, he will be right. If I say he is wrong, he will die." Zhang Zilin vaguely felt that what Zhang Fan said made sense, but it was difficult to accept it, so she retorted weakly. "Wise words and charm." Zhang Fan responded unceremoniously. Not. Zhang Zilin was angry, but did not arrest Zhang Fan, because that would be humiliating herself. She lowered her head and looked at the corpses of several people, feeling a little secretly happy in her heart. "Have a good death." Zhang Fan looked at this arrogant and naughty woman. The light on her body was inexplicably greener, and he felt very contemptuous. With a character like Zhang Zilin's, she was destined to be used as a gunman when she arrived at the rescue point. This fool won't be tricked to death, right? Zhang Fan put away his gun, opened a door casually, and said as if no one was around, "Elbow, come into the house with me." Zhang Zilin's face turned red. She hugged her body with her hands and said warily, "What do you want? Come again." "What the?" Everyone looked at the two of them in shock. "Are you two old lovers? Could it be that the medicine Zhang Zilin got back just now was not snatched back at all? It was meant to be returned. Zhang Fan has too many supplies, right? He even has medicines. But where did it come from?" The survivors in Building B remembered the way Zhang Fan appeared just now, and they vaguely guessed that Zhang Fan should have the ability to walk through walls. That's why he was able to accumulate so many supplies. None of the survivors who can survive to this day are stupid. No wonder Zhang Fan has so much food and can search through walls. Zhang Fan said impatiently, "I forgot to ask something just now. Come in, what are you talking about?" Zhang Zilin was relieved, but also a little disappointed for no reason. When she saw everyone's expressions, her cheeks couldn't help but feel hot. Snort. "I'm not afraid of him. If he dares to force himself, I will beat him." Hit hard. Zhang Zilin mustered up her courage and followed Zhang Fan into the room. Boom. Zhang Fan reached back and closed the door. Jong Zilin was startled, jumping to the side like a frightened rabbit. Jong Fan laughed. Do you need to be so cowardly? Weren't you very brave just now? Jong Zilin rubbed her neck and said, who is afraid of you? Jong Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense to her and asked directly. Your superpower fruit, that black lychee, where did you pick it? Jong Zilin relaxed a lot when she heard that it was a serious topic. She didn't hide anything and simply said, rose on the wall of the police station. Rose. One more kind. Jong Fan asked again. What about that old man in your team? Where did he get it? Jong Zilin was surprised. How do you know Yang Jiawei has special powers? Yang Jiawei's superpower is hearing enhancement, which has almost no external manifestation and is very hidden. Unfortunately, in Jong Fan's perception, the ginger in Yang Jiawei's body was clearly visible, and there was no way he could hide from his detection. Jong Fan smiled charmingly. I won't tell you. Jong Zilin was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Then I won't tell you either. Jong Fan dug into his pocket and actually took out a perception fruit from his portable space. How about I exchange this information with you? It just so happened that he had almost finished eating the fruit of perception, and he needed Jong Zilin's help as a tool to supplement it. In addition, all his women have the ability to perceive, so they cannot favor one over the other. Jong Fan pays attention to the level of water in each bowl. In addition, Jong Fan also felt that Jong Zilin's personality was too upright, and she would probably be tricked to death if she went to the TV station's rescue center. Giving her the ability to sense would greatly improve her survivability and help him find out more information. Jong Zilin's breathing became rapid. You still have the superpower fruit. Why didn't you eat it? She is the beneficiary of the superpower fruit. Jong Zilin is a born martial arts prodigy with invincible comprehension ability. Unfortunately, her grandfather said that her physical fitness is average. Even among women, she is average and inferior, which greatly limits her fighting ability. The burst fruit she ate before greatly made up for her weakness and was of great help to her. If I get another one? Jong Fan asked again. Where did he find his superpower fruit? Jong Zilin immediately said, onions grown on his balcony. Jong Fan frowned. The few superpowers he knew all grew on different plants. And it seems unrelated. Succulents, wild grasses, roses, onions, ivy. There is a chicken feather connection here. Could it be that the growth pattern of this thing has nothing to do with the plant itself? What does that have to do with anything? Is it related to the location? Jong Fan had no clue and could only give up temporarily. Jong Zilin stretched out her hand and said, give me. Jong Fan retracted his hand. Jong Zilin opened her eyes wide in disbelief. You're actually cheating. Hey, it's so ugly to talk about cheating. Jong Fan said with a smile. The price is not enough. You don't think that a piece of information is worth a superpower fruit. What else do you have that is valuable? Jong Zilin was silent. She also felt that it was not enough. The superpower fruit is worth thousands of gold. But what else do you have that you can trade with? Did he want to? Jong Zilin's face darkened. I won't stay here with you. You should give up on this idea. Jong Fan was speechless. He didn't want her to stay at all. It would be too exciting to have such a dangerous woman next to her, so it would be better to send her away. Jong Fan did not speak, but looked at Jong Zilin calmly. You are thinking too much. Think about what else you have of value. If not, then I will take it back. Jong Zilin became anxious, hesitated for a moment, and then said, okay, I can teach you a breathing method. If you are lucky, you can develop the sense of qi, but I can't guarantee it. Qigong. Jong Fan sneered. You think I'm stupid for this thing that's meant to deceive children? Jong Zilin said seriously. I didn't believe it at first. Until the red mist came, I suddenly felt a full breath here. This breathing method was taught to me by my grandfather. I have been practicing it since I was a child, and I didn't feel it. I just fall asleep faster. Now it's different, I can feel the obvious airflow here during the battle. Jong Zilin pointed to her lower abdomen. Jong Fan's pupils shrank. The location Jong Zilin pointed to is where ginger is. She has no perception. How can she accurately find the location of ginger? Didn't she lie? What does this mean to her? Dantian, internal force. Why is it related to red mist? Doesn't the red mist cause all things to evolve? Why are you connected with these mysterious things like Qigong again? Could it be the spiritual revival in the novel? Why does the revival of spiritual energy lead to the evolution of animals and plants? But why do all things evolve, but humans generally do not? Aren't humans animals? Also, the power of the enlightenment fruit has little to do with the revival of spiritual energy. Zhang Fan was thinking wildly. The true causes of global evolution are increasingly mysterious. What can this airflow do? He asked in a deep voice. Just like this. Zhang Zilin stood upright, exerting no force at all, but moved back more than a meter like a ghost, as if she had been yanked. This time at a close distance, Zhang Fan could clearly see light gushing out of Zhang Zilin's body, rushing towards his whole body, and then disappeared in a flash. Zhang Fan narrowed his eyes. He has been wondering what the ginger in the body of the strange superpower is for. He originally thought that ginger was related to supernatural powers, but when he used his powers, he never noticed any movement from ginger. Now, he finally saw someone who could use the energy in ginger. Based on this alone, Zhang Fan could not give up this breathing method. Okay, breathing method in exchange for this superpower fruit. Zhang Zilin asked, what is the function of this superpower fruit? Zhang Fan would not tell the truth to her, so he shook his head firmly and said, how would I know? I haven't eaten it. Zhang Zilin didn't think much about it, she just felt like she was asking nonsense. Okay, then I'll teach you this breathing method. Come on, do it with me. First of all, hold your breath and concentrate. Well, in human terms, keep quiet and try to lower your heart rate. The lower the better. Then, when breathing, try to imagine that there is qi floating around your body, and absorb it. Zhang Fan asked, what is qi? Zhang Zilin spread her hands. I didn't know, that's what my grandfather taught me anyway. Zhang Fan was suspicious. Haven't you mastered it now? Don't you know yet? Are you lying to me? Zhang Zilin snorted coldly. I just don't know. I can use this qi, but I don't know where it comes from. Just imagine that there is qi around you, and then absorb it, maybe it will work. Believe it or not. Zhang Fan frowned and continued listening. He had no way to prove it, so he could only believe Zhang Zilin for the time being. The green light on Zhang Zilin's body prevented him from having too many doubts. A few minutes later, Zhang Zilin finished telling all the details. Zhang Fan stood there, slowly adjusted his breathing, and made his first attempt. Zhang Zilin said proudly while instructing, don't worry, I practiced for about half a year before I felt that I fell asleep significantly faster. Grandpa said that I am a once-in-a-century genius. Karma. I saw Zhang Fan's body retreating strangely for a distance, completely violating the laws of physics. Although the distance is very short, only about 10 centimeters, it does move. Zhang Zilin opened her mouth wide. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zhang Fan said with a smile. You are so stupid. It took you half a year to do something so simple. Zhang Zilin said in confusion. That's not right. Grandpa clearly said that I am a martial arts wizard who is not seen in a century. Zhang Fan comforted. Well, I understand, who is not Grandpa's darling? Zhang Zilin's face turned dark. She was devastated. Zhang Fan stuffed the fruit of enlightenment into Zhang Zilin's hands with satisfaction. This ability greatly makes up for his weakness in that when his consciousness reacts, his body cannot keep up during battle. This is for you. By the way, what is the name of this breathing method? Zhang Zilin said depressedly. There is no name. When my grandfather passed it on to me, he called it breathing method. Let's settle things. Zhang Fan nodded, jumped across the floor, and disappeared in front of Zhang Zilin. It shouldn't be. Zhang Zilin grabbed her hair in frustration. Is Grandpa really coaxing me to play? Zhang Fan walked through the wall to the top floor and was about to open the portal to go home when he suddenly saw several young men and women walking over. These people were obviously surprised when they saw Zhang Fan. Isn't this the superhuman who appeared through the wall just now? The boy leading the group was Hu Liangliang. When he saw Zhang Fan, his eyes suddenly lit up. When Zhang Zilin went to Zhang Fan to ask for medicine, Hu Liangliang had a conversation with the survivors in Block B. He knew that Zhang Fan had a lot of food in his hand, and saw the group photos sent by Zhang Fan on the other party's phone. Hu Liangliang actually saw the famous school beauty of the Film and Television Academy, Hu Lili among a group of women in Jong Fan. Hu Lili is a good-looking anchor online and is very famous in the Film and Television Academy. He had no relationship with Hu Lili, but their names were very similar, so Hu Liang remembered this senior as soon as he entered school. Students in film and television schools naturally want to be stars. Therefore, Hu Liang did not like Hu Lili at all. What a self-destruction. How much money can you make only by being an anchor? How can you make more money by being a celebrity? Jong Fan looked at a few people. The man is handsome and the woman is beautiful. Although they turn heads when walking on the street, there are so many beauties around Jong Fan that he doesn't like them very much. Jong Fan looked at the two girls casually, and the system popped up a prompt. Qian Xiaochen. Age, 19. Quality, 7 points, beautiful and refined. Women's morality, 6 points, 1 boyfriend per semester. Comprehensive score, 6 points. Ding, does not meet the minimum system requirements. Wu Bingqing. Age, 19. Quality, 8 points, sweet and cute. Female virtue, 3 points, private life is corrupt, rune mage. Comprehensive score, 3 points. Ding, does not meet the minimum system requirements. Jong Fan felt disgusted in his heart. The two girls noticed Jong Fan's gaze, but they were secretly proud and a little scared. They could clearly see Jong Fan's violent killing just now. It was obvious that he was a powerful superpower. The two girls are not stupid. They know that in this era, superpowers are the bosses. If they can hold Jong Fan's thigh tightly, they can live longer. The two women unanimously showed their most beautiful sides to Jong Fan. Wu Bingqing puffed up her proudest chest. Qian Xiaochen turned her face to Jong Fan at a 45-degree angle and smiled sweetly. Jong Fan frowned slightly. Hu Liang took the initiative to step forward and said with a smile. Hello, Mr. Jong, I am Hu Liang, a freshman at Mahai Film and Television School. Jong Fan glanced at him. I do not know you. Jong Fan was moved in his heart. Hu Liang's words reminded him. There are no more beauties recognized by the system in the Wealth Center. There should be many Mahai Film and Television Academy. If you want to increase the return rate, you might want to go to Mahai Film and Television Academy. Hu Liang gritted his teeth. I am Hu Lili's cousin. Hu Liang had dealt with Hu Lili several times and felt that the senior sister was a weak person. As long as he met her and lowered his head and begged, Hu Lili would not expose his lies. Hu Liang is very unfavorable to Zhang Zilin. Although that woman is powerful, she is an idiot. You can't protect yourself at all. If you follow her, you will definitely be tricked to death by her stupid brain. But Jong Fan is different. If he had a relationship with Hu Lili, then he would be Jong Fan's cheap brother-in-law, wouldn't he? Hu Liang is thinking about the future. Jong Fan looked at Hu Liang and asked slowly. Oh, how did you know Hu Lili was at my place? Hu Liang was stunned by Jong Fan's eyes and said tremblingly. That, someone told me just now. Jong Fan ignored him. He found Hu Lili in his perception and opened the will link. Hu Lili was trying on clothes on the bed when she suddenly heard Jong Fan's voice and was stunned for a moment. Then she realized that it was Jong Fan's superpower. Hu Lili quickly sat up straight and said, Brother Jong. Jong Fan asked, there is a student from Mahai Film and Television Academy named Hu Liang, who claims to be your cousin. I don't have a cousin. Hu Lili thought for a while before remembering the inconspicuous junior student. Who is Hu Liang? Oh, I remember. He is a freshman, and we are just ordinary classmates. Okay, I understand. Jong Fan broke the will link and reached out to grab Hu Liang's collar. Hu Liang was shocked. Mr. Jong, you, what are you doing? Jong Fan smiled and patted his face. Be a good boy in your next life and stop lying to others. After saying that, he immediately threw him off the rooftop. Hu Liang screamed in horror. Ah. A few seconds later, there was a muffled sound of heavy objects falling to the ground from downstairs. The remaining 6 students' minds were blank. Hu Liang is going to die now. Jong Fan turned to look at them with a smile. 6 students were scared crazy. Ah, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Hu Liang has nothing to do with me. They ran into the stairs in a mess and never dared to go upstairs again. Jong Fan sneered, opened a blue portal and walked in. When he returned home, women crowded around him. Hu Lili said quickly. Brother Zhang, did you see Hu Liangliang just now? I'm really not familiar with him. She was afraid that if Zhang Fan suspected that the two were related, she would be in big trouble. Zhang Fan smiled. Well, he lied to me, so he died. Dead. Hu Lili trembled and did not dare to speak anymore. Zhang Fan was decisive in killing and ruthless, making several women afraid. They repeatedly warned themselves in their hearts that they must not deceive Zhang Fan. At the same time, they also feel a strong sense of security. Without such men, how could they live so well in the last days? He must have been put in a cage by other men and treated as RBQ. Zhang Fan took out a bottle of iced Coke, took a sip, and asked calmly. Hu Lili, you are a student of Mahai Film and Television Academy. When the internet was not disconnected before, where were the survivors of your school hiding? Hu Lili tried to remember. Well, at that time, most of them were in the student dormitories, some were in the first cafeteria, and there was also the family area on campus. Most of the teachers were there. Before the news was finally cut off, I heard that the top management of the college was working hard to organize teachers and allocate them according to the plan. Food, rescuing students, I don't know what's going on now. Zhang Fan pondered. The students in the student dormitories probably won't be able to hold on for long. There are dense crowds there and food is scarce. The students will soon have to go out to look for food, and then they will be scattered everywhere. Students like Hu Liangliang should have escaped from the college. The situation in the family area is different. The material situation there should be similar to that in the Fortune Center community. Coupled with the high-level organization of the college, there should be a large number of survivors. But their situation must not be good, otherwise Hu Liangliang and the others wouldn't have to run out. No matter how hard school leaders try, food shortages are inevitable, and so is hunger. When hunger reaches a certain level and life cannot be saved, any organization becomes a bunker on the sand. Go to Mahai Film and Television Academy tomorrow. Zhang Fan made up his mind. It's quiet at night. The woman beside him has fallen asleep. Zhang Fan got up and walked to the window, sat down cross-legged, and silently practiced breathing techniques. In the field of vision of perception, Zhang Fan clearly saw, as he breathed in and out, invisible and colorless particles of unknown energy slowly emerged from the air and flowed into ginger within his body. Along the way, cells all over the body are greedily competing for these particles, and the light and dark change rhythmically with breathing. This is the reason why Zhang Fan can quickly learn the breathing method. After Zhang Zilin taught the formula, Zhang Fan was surprised to find that the qi that Zhang Zilin could not see was clearly visible in the perception. The rest is easy. Zhang Fan consciously absorbed these particles and quickly absorbed part of the qi. Zhang Fan absorbed the particles extremely quickly. After half an hour, ginger was so full that he could no longer continue, so Zhang Fan could only stop. Zhang Fan's heart moved, and the qi in ginger instantly surged out, and his body strangely floated back more than 2 meters. Even further than Zhang Zilin. Zhang Fan raised his lips slightly. With my qi strength, I can perform about 10 ghost maneuvers. It is definitely a sneak attack and a life-saving skill. Most of the time, there is no need to move this far. If it can be controlled to about 1 meter, the consumption will be even lower. However, Zhang Fan tried repeatedly, and finally exhausted all his qi and failed to control the ghost's mobile movement distance within 1 meter. Every time qi starts to flow out, it becomes uncontrollable. My proficiency is still a long way from Zhang Zilin's casual maneuvering, which is easy and heavy. It seems that I still need long-term practice. Zhang Fan is not in a hurry. Zhang Zilin has been practicing for 20 years and he has just gotten started, which is already very good. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Fan began to practice the burst of energy and blood. After more than 10 hours of rest, Zhang Fan's muscle soreness finally disappeared and his body returned to health again. 500% can only be used for emergencies and cannot be used for daily combat. Zhang Fan decided to use 100% as a starting point, learn Zhang Zilin's skills, and use short and local bursts to extend the battle endurance. Once he got started, he realized that this skill was incredibly rare. When I watched Zhang Zilin fight a mutated frog before, her combat power rose and fell as she pleased, with ease. Only when I put it into my own hands did I realize that this technique is also extremely difficult. Zhang Fan practiced for 2 hours before he stopped in frustration. He couldn't say that he had achieved nothing, he could only say that he had made no progress. Since the red mist came, Zhang Zilin has been practicing to the point where she can use her fingers and arms in just a dozen days. How long do I have to practice? Is Zhang Zilin really a martial arts genius? Zhang Fan frowned. Now, I only have 2 directions. Either continue to increase your comprehensive physical fitness to increase the duration of your burst by 500% and speed up your recovery. Either continue to increase your overall physical fitness, reaching the point where 100% or 200% burst can crush all enemies. Therefore, the goal is very clear, which is to increase the overall physical fitness. Grass. Since the skills are not suitable for me, I will just increase my attributes. Instead of strengthening your shortcomings with half the effort, it is better to strengthen your strengths to a level that is difficult for others to achieve. If you don't have enough skills, let's use the panel. Zhang Fan took out handfuls of physical strengthening fruits and will link fruits and ate them. 1 handful, 2 handfuls, 3 handfuls. Finally. Ding. Will link increased to 7 stars. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up and he immediately clicked on the description of the will link. Will link. 7 stars. You can establish a will link with the creatures within the field of vision and communicate in consciousness. The distance is 100 kilometers. The upper limit of simultaneous will links, 20. You can use your will to build a consciousness space and pull all linkers into it for communication. The upper limit of the consciousness space that can exist at the same time is 1. Will plus 20. Will space. Zhang Fan immediately activated his will link ability and saw the will bubble again. Within the range of perception, all creatures are surrounded by large and small colorful bubbles, which look very magical. The colorful bubbles of will are like fragile soap bubbles, shaking slowly, as if they will pop if you poke them. Zhang Fan's own colorful bubbles are the strongest among them, almost motionless and extremely stable. Is it the effect of increased willpower? How to create a conscious space? Zhang Fan studied for a while and soon separated a small colorful bubble from his will bubble, which was about the size of a quail egg. Zhang Fan's consciousness was invested in it. This is an infinite expanse of pure black space. Zhang Fan's heart moved. The space changes according to Zhang Fan's wishes. An endless white floor instantly appeared under his feet. The top of the head turned into a starry night sky. Zhang Fan raised his lips slightly. Interesting. I can build a virtual world and bring others in. This thing is a consciousness BBS. Zhang Fan once again used his consciousness to perfect this space. A holy golden mist appeared out of thin air on the pure white floor. Golden mist surges up layer by layer, reaching a height of 100 meters. A huge golden high chair appeared above. Zhang Fan's figure instantly appeared on the golden high chair. He stood on the seat as if he were standing in a vast stadium. I need to get a little bigger. Zhang Fan's body became bigger. Become as huge as a mountain. He slowly sat on the golden high chair, overlooking the world of will. Suddenly, Zhang Fan felt that his energy was being consumed rapidly, and his mind was getting more and more confused, as if he hadn't slept for 3 days. This feeling of exertion is completely different from physical exertion. Zhang Fan had a clear understanding in his heart. Maintaining complex scenes takes a lot of energy. His consciousness quickly left this small bubble of will. At this time, he was pleasantly surprised to find that he could actually see the scenery in this independent will bubble outside. White floors, bright starry sky, golden mist and high chairs. However, after his consciousness left, it was as if time stood still and everything froze. What is this? Archive function. Zhang Fan also discovered that after the time of the independent will bubble stopped, the energy was no longer consumed. It seems that energy is not consumed by maintaining the consciousness space, but by making it alive. Star 7 can build a consciousness space, but what about Star 8? 9 stars. Zhang Fan looked forward to it very much, and took out a handful of will link fruits to eat. Click, click. I don't know how much I ate, but I still haven't upgraded. After all, this will link fruit is 1 star. Even if his physique is suitable for will, it would be ridiculously difficult to rise to 8 star by eating the 1 star fruit. Zhang Fan kept eating until he felt nauseated again and wanted to give up, when a surprise came. Ding! Will link increased to 8 stars. Jong Fan was overjoyed and quickly checked the panel. Will link, 8 stars. You can establish a will link with the creatures within the field of vision and communicate in consciousness. The distance is 200 kilometers. The upper limit of simultaneous will links, 30. You can use your will to build a consciousness space and pull all linkers into it for communication. The upper limit of the consciousness space that can exist at the same time is 3. You can forcibly pull the target into the conscious space. The success rate and duration depend on the will gap between you and the opponent. Will plus 30. Jong Fan immediately noticed the biggest change, strong consciousness. Jong Fan simply thought about it and discovered that this ability has many uses. Such as yin people. If you are halfway through the battle with the enemy and suddenly pull the enemy's consciousness into the conscious space, and the enemy finds that his body is high in the air, he will be startled, and his body will naturally respond inappropriately. This is your chance to defeat the opponent. It's just that the limitations of this ability are not small. The success rate and duration depend on the strength of my will. Although I don't know the specific ratio, I guess it is not a case of will crushing. It is difficult for me to draw the enemy into the consciousness space. Quote. Jong Fan squinted his eyes and saw the most suitable enemy right now. That mutant frog. If I don't break out at 500%, can I beat it? Jong Fan opened the panel. I am already very powerful now. Perception. 5 stars, you can see how friendly the target is towards you. Yellow represents neutrality, red represents hostility, and green represents friendliness. The brightness of the light indicates the strength of the target. You can sense the energy gathering points in the target's body. You can sense inanimate objects, sensing range 100 meters. Physique enhancement. 4 stars, comprehensive physique plus 80. Virtualization. 5 stars, you can virtualize your body and travel between solid and liquid states. The greater the density of the solid, the greater the energy consumption. You can barely breathe in solids and liquids. Subspace shuttle. 9 stars, full level, cannot be upgraded. You can open a subspace channel and go to any location within 5,000 meters, up to 12 times a day. You can create subspace anchors, with no range limit, up to a maximum of 12 times a day. 3 times, up to 3 anchor points can be maintained at the same time. You can set the landing point on the space anchor point regardless of distance. You can attach the subspace anchor point to any object. Will link. 8 stars. You can establish a will link with the creatures within the field of vision and communicate in consciousness. The distance is 200 kilometers. The upper limit of simultaneous will links, 30. You can use will to establish a consciousness space and connect all linkers. Pull into it to communicate. The upper limit of the conscious space that exists at the same time is 3. You can forcefully pull the target into the conscious space. The success rate and duration depend on the will gap between you and the other party. Will plus 30. Chi and blood burst. 3 stars, you consume a lot of physical energy, and there is a short burst of chi and blood, which improves the overall physical fitness by 100% minus 500%. The more the improvement, the more physical energy is consumed. At the same time, the property panel has also undergone tremendous changes. Host. Jong Fan. Comprehensive physical fitness. 90 average 10 for ordinary adults. Will. 40 average 10 for ordinary adults. Time to kill that mutant frog. Take a nap first to recover your energy. Jong Fan did not act recklessly. He had consumed a lot of energy by experimenting with the consciousness space, so he went back to bed to rest. 6 o'clock in the morning. Jong Fan opened his eyes and felt full of energy. The energy consumed is fully restored. He came to the living room with a smile, and the women all got up. There is no electricity now. If Jong Fan doesn't accompany them at night, there will be no other entertainment and they can only go to bed early. So, women get up very early. Shu Mengqian asked gently. Brother Jong, what do you want to eat this morning? She was a little resentful. Brother Jong hadn't come to see her for several days. There are more and more women, and the pressure on her is increasing. Jong Fan said casually, just keep it simple, just fried eggs, milk, and bread. There will be something delicious for lunch today. Okay. Shu Mengqian didn't know what Jong Fan was going to eat for lunch, so she meekly took out the food from the freezer and started cooking. Although there is no power now, Jong Fan got back a lot of ice cubes from the supermarket, and the refrigerator can keep them warm for several days without melting. Therefore, Jong Fan only needs to take out some food and put it in the freezer every day, allowing the woman to take it. It's easier this way, as you don't have to ask Jong Fan to get food for every meal. After eating, Jong Fan immediately started to take action. He passed through the floors and quickly went downstairs. Can frog meat be eaten? Can mutated frog meat be eaten? Are there any benefits to eating it? Jong Zin chewed the instant noodles with enjoyment, ate 3 pieces of noodles, took another sip of purified water, and swallowed it with difficulty. Hiccup, so full. It had been days since she'd had such ample food. If Ma Shanxi's supplies had not been swept away, Jong Zin would not have dared to be so extravagant. She couldn't help but think of the rabbit yesterday. If it hadn't been for the sneak attack by the mutated frog, I would have eaten roast rabbit last night. Jong Zin swallowed painfully. It cost me a bullet. Jong Zin finished drinking the purified water, still holding the bottle upside down, sticking out her tongue and waiting for more than 10 seconds, until the last drop of water dripped down, then reluctantly licked the mouth of the bottle. Clean water is becoming increasingly scarce, and no one is willing to waste it. I don't know how much supplies Jong Fan has in hand, whether he can borrow some. Jong Zin remembered that she seemed to have nothing to exchange, so she could only give up in frustration. Boom, boom, boom. There was a knock on the door. Jong Zin clapped her hands and stood up. Come in. Yang Jiawei walked into the room biting the noodles. Leader, everyone is asking, when should we set off? Jong Zin was confused. She got up early in the morning and went downstairs to take a sneak peek. That mutated frog is still lying down in the lobby. She has no idea why the mutated frog is staring at her, and I didn't kill your parents. The most troublesome thing now is this strange frog. If he wanted to leave, he would jump from upstairs. The mutated frog couldn't stop him at all, but what about the other survivors? There's no way a mutant frog could just let himself take other people away. Moreover, he can't just leave. The mutated frog is staying below. If he leaves, the others will be trapped and die here. Jong Zin would not allow herself to do such a thing. Jong Zin said depressedly, hold on, do you want to ask that guy Jong Fan for help? Jong Zin couldn't help but blush a little when she thought of Jong Fan and what happened yesterday. At the same time, I was a little angry and weak. I didn't feel anything. It was gone for the first time. But I can't say I hate it. Jong Fan is quite generous. A superpower fruit is a treasure that is hard to buy for a lot of money. In short, she couldn't tell what the feelings were. Jong Zin hesitated and said, wait one more day. If the mutated frog is still downstairs tomorrow, I will find a way to lure it away. If she doesn't leave tomorrow, she will have no choice but to beg Jong Fan. With that guy's ability to burrow through the ground and through walls, it should be possible to safely lure away the mutated frog. Yang Jiawei smiled happily. He actually didn't want to go to the TV station rescue point at all. One is that the journey is too far and unsafe. Another is that he talked with the survivors of the Fortune Center and found that no one knew about the existence of the TV station rescue point. This made him feel something was wrong. But he didn't know why and couldn't convince Jong Zin at all. Mutated frog, well done, you better stay down there every day. Jong Zin waited for Yang Jiawei to leave, then closed her eyes and continued to practice her newly acquired sensory abilities. This ability is so practical. Thanks to Jong Fan. Jong Zin couldn't help but think of Jong Fan again. Mahai Film and Television Academy. Family Area, Building 16. This is the last gathering point for survivors in the family area. A total of more than 200 survivors are lingering in this building. 16 buildings are built on a low hill, with a total of 20 floors. The terrain here is slightly higher, and red mist can be exposed above the 18th floor. Room 1803. Su Jin looked at the floor in fear. As the red mist gets higher and higher, it has reached the 18th floor. She wanted to move upstairs, but there were school leaders and a few powerful people above her, so she was not qualified at all. If she hadn't gained the ability to heal and become an associate professor, she wouldn't be able to live on the 18th floor. Oh, what can we do? Su Jinku sat at the table, holding his delicate face with his hands. She thought of the rumors she heard vaguely yesterday. It was said that an invisible monster appeared in the school, eating people without spitting out bones. Every day, Survivors were dragged away when they went out. So far, no one has seen the true face of the enemy. Su Jin shuddered. Who can come and save me? After a while, Zhang Fan came to a few meters underground where the mutant frog was. The mutated frog discovered him and croaked, giving a clear warning. Zhang Fan was not afraid and stared at the mutated frog coldly. First of all, chi and blood burst to 100%. In an instant, Zhang Fan's whole body shone brightly in his field of vision. Bring it on. Fight. Zhang Fan pulled out a threaded steel bar and rushed out of the ground. The steel bar stabbed out from the ground strangely, hitting the mutated frog's soft lower abdomen. Poof. The steel bar actually slipped out of the mutated frog's skin. Its skin is too slippery and full of mucus. Zhang Fan changed color slightly. However, under Zhang Fan's brute strength, the unsharpened steel bars were no different than spears. Even if the skin is not broken, it is still very painful. Gwa! The mutated frog screamed in pain. It could not attack the enemy under its abdomen. It jumped more than 10 meters away and hid in the red mist without saying a word, staring at Zhang Fan with mysterious means. In its experience, the enemy cannot see itself at this distance. Little did he know that in Zhang Fan's perception, it was as dazzling as a torch. Zhang Fan sneered. The beast is quite smart. Suddenly, the mutant frog opened its mouth and its tongue shot out. The distance was too short, and Zhang Fan had no time to react. In the flash of lightning, he instinctively raised the steel bar in front of him. Dwang! The tongue hit the threaded steel bar, and the steel bar was directly bent into a U shape. At the same time, the tongue suddenly produced huge stickiness, stuck to the steel bar and retracted suddenly, and Zhang Fan's body was dragged over uncontrollably. Face to face is the big mouth of the mutated frog. Want to eat me? Zhang Fan's eyes narrowed, and a supermarket shelf appeared out of thin air in the mutant frog's big mouth. Click! The mutated frog bit hard, shivering in pain, and immediately vomited out the blood-stained shelf, and at the same time the steel bars were loosened. Zhang Fan glanced at the U-shaped steel bar in his hand, threw it into the space, and then took out a huge construction hammer. Since sharp weapons don't work, I'll use blunt weapons. If 100% doesn't work, then 200%. Explode. In an instant, Zhang Fan's whole body was filled with strength. The mutated frog looked at Zhang Fan with hatred and stepped on him. Zhang Fan's body retreated 2 meters like a ghost. Boom! The mutant frog's flippers missed the mark. The hammer is coming. Boom! It hit the mutated frog's feet hard. Suddenly, the bones were broken and the flesh was rotten, and the hammerhead sank deeply into the flesh and blood. Gwa 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 gwa. The mutated frog screamed, and the muscles all over its body shrank into a ball visibly. It jerked its feet in pain. Huge force came, and Zhang Fan, together with the hammer in his hand, was thrown away more than 10 meters. Boom! Zhang Fan then hit the outer wall of the building, his chest felt tight, and his blood were floating all over his body. Zhang Fan became fierce and instantly activated a higher level of energy and blood burst. 400% explosion. He kicked the wall fiercely and rushed back from midair like lightning. He directly stepped on a hole in the wall. Die to me! Zhang Fan let out a low roar, picked up the hammer, and smashed it down hard. The mutated frog immediately shot out its tongue and hit the hammer, making a loud sound of metal impact. Dwang! Get down here! Zhang Fan used his strength again. The thick tongue could not resist the huge force and was pressed to the ground by the hammer. Even the mutated frog was pressed down with its mouth and fell to the ground. Boom! The mutated frog got scared, turned around and ran away, jumping more than 10 meters away like a cannonball, at a speed far exceeding Zhang Fan's running speed. Want to run? No way. Will link, open. Zhang Fan's consciousness forcibly broke through the mutant frog's will bubble, pulling its consciousness into a blank will space. The mutated frog was about to jump again when he suddenly found himself high in the sky and was frightened. The real body fell to the ground with a thud. Zhang Fan felt that his energy was being consumed rapidly. Even a mutated frog with such a weak will would consume a huge amount of consciousness by force. He quickly closed the will link, and at the same time caught up with the mutated frog, and smashed it down with a hammer on his head and face. Bang! 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 The mutated frog was hit so dizzy that Gugu screamed and lay on the ground unable to move. Zhang Fan smashed it dozens of times and found that the thing had rough skin and thick flesh, with a layer of greasy mucus on the skin. Even the hammer is not very effective. It slides away easily and loses most of its strength. Zhang Fan took out a shock bomb without saying anything. Disappear. Zhang Fan tried his best to expend a huge amount of energy and forcefully penetrated the mutated frog's skin and skull with his arm, and inserted it into the frog's brain. He dropped the shock bomb into the frog's brain and quickly pulled it out. Boom! There was a muffled sound. The mutated frog's eyes protruded, blood flowed from its 7 holes, and its whole body twitched. After a few seconds, plop, the mutated frog lay weakly on the ground and finally died. Zhang Fan shut down his blood and breathed heavily. The short battle of less than a minute consumed most of his physical strength. This kind of explosive battle is too taxing on the body. Fortunately, the effect is good. I finally killed this mutant frog. Zhang Fan raised his lips slightly and put the mutated frog's body into his portable space. Zhang Zilin was silent. Ding Zhengli is still dead. Several other injured also died. Only a young man who was bitten by a giant mosquito survived the night. However, he is still suffering from a high fever and no one knows how long he can live. Dr. Du said guiltily, "I'm sorry, Officer Zhang." Zhang Zilin sighed, shook his head and said, "I don't blame you. The virus has evolved so much that the previous drugs are a bit ineffective." The onlookers, survivors felt chills in their hearts. It's too dangerous out there. Even if there are medicines and doctors, death is inevitable if you get injured. They became frightened when they thought that it was still more than 10 kilometers away from the TV station. After only walking for a long time, half of them are dead. Even the superpower Lu Gangfang died. When they reach the TV station, how many people will be left? Everyone began to retreat. If you think about it, the Fortune Center is actually pretty good. They used to be trapped in the Pinghai Road police station, always covered by red mist, with narrow vision, which was both depressing and terrifying. Now that we are on a high-rise building in the Fortune Center with a wide view, everyone feels that there is no point in going to the TV station. Besides, even if I go to the TV station, will there be enough food? How can it be? The room was very depressing. At this moment, Yang Jiawei suddenly raised his head and said, "Leader, the mutated frog downstairs seems to be fighting." Soon, the fierce croaking sound of the mutated frog came from outside the window. It sounds like the mutated frog has suffered a loss. Zhang Zilin was surprised and hurried downstairs to check carefully on the 3rd floor. The mutated frog is missing. She observed carefully for more than 10 minutes before going down to the 1st floor to check. The ground was covered in blood, rubble and crushed plants. The mutated frog seemed to have had a fight with some kind of animal and suffered a loss. Zhang Zilin felt secretly frightened. What kind of mutated animal is it? Even the powerful mutant frog can't defeat it. However, she didn't think much about it. Leave now while the mutant frog is away. Zhang Zilin climbed up the stairs in 3 steps and then said to the survivor, "The mutated frog is not here now. I am ready to leave. Anyone who wants to leave can just pack their things and set off in 10 minutes. Are you leaving now?" Everyone who followed Zhang Zilin looked at each other. The survivors of Tower B just watched with indifference. At this time, walking more than 10 kilometers to the TV station. Court death. They won't go. Only 6 students from Mahai Film and Television Academy made up their minds to leave. Hu Liangliang offended Zhang Fan. Maybe Zhang Fan will cause trouble for them one day. Hurry up and get as far away from that big devil as possible. Zhang Zilin looked at the crowd and saw that there were only about 10 people starting to prepare their luggage. She was a little disappointed, but she was secretly relieved. There were too many survivors before, and she really couldn't protect them. It's better to have fewer people. The survival rate should be higher. Zhang Zilin thought for a while, decided to say goodbye to Zhang Fan, walked up to the rooftop, gathered strength and jumped over again. Zhang Fan spent a lot of effort to chop off one leg of the mutated frog, and then cut off more than a dozen pieces of meat from the leg. A group of women gathered around. "Wow, this frog is so big. Brother Zhang is so powerful, he can kill such a big frog. Can mutant frogs be eaten?" Zhang Fan didn't know either. He cut several kilograms of meat into egg-sized pieces, and the strange meaty aroma overflowed. Bayan and Kola stared at the frog meat, screaming in anxiety, and Bayan's saliva flowed all over the floor. Jong Fan threw 2 pieces to the cats and dogs. Bayan and Coca-Cola immediately started eating. The 2 guys finished eating quickly and stared at Jong Fan, as if hoping to eat another piece. Jong Fan waited for a few minutes, but neither the cat nor the dog showed any signs of poisoning. At least there are no potent toxins. Why don't you go downstairs and try to find a survivor? He put the meat on steel skewers and grilled it, then added cumin, chili pepper, and salt, and smeared the mutton on it, making a sizzling sound in the fire. After a while, the meat was roasted and became more fragrant than raw meat. The girls looked at it curiously and couldn't help but swallow, but no one dared to say that they wanted to eat. Jong Fan was about to take the barbecue and go downstairs to find someone to try, but suddenly he saw Jong Zin jumping over again, still landing in the previous room on the 20th floor. Jong Fan thought, why not let Jong Zin try it too? If she had been poisoned, then just die. Jong Fan doesn't care. Anyway, Jong Zin was just a free chess piece he let out, and he had already been prepared that she would die at any time. Jong Fan made up his mind and took out a bottle of cold beer from the freezer, passed through the floors, and landed in front of Jong Zin. Jong Zin was stunned for a moment. How did you know I was coming? Before she finished speaking, she saw the fragrant kebab in Jong Fan's hand, and her saliva flowed out uncontrollably. Coupled with the smell of cold beer, it is even more tempting. Today's fresh meat is a very precious commodity, and I don't know how Jong Fan preserves it. Jong Fan said with a smile. I was eating barbecue and I happened to see you coming over. Do you want to eat? Jong Zin quickly shook her head and said politely. No need, Gulu. Jong Zin had not eaten meat for several days. She swallowed uncontrollably and her cheeks turned red with embarrassment. Jong Fan put a handful of meat skewers and cold beer into her hands and said enthusiastically. Eat, eat. Jong Zin stared at the barbecue and refused with difficulty. This is not good. Jong Fan smiled and said. It's okay, I still have a lot at home. Okay. Jong Zin was no longer polite, couldn't resist the temptation of delicious food, and started eating quickly. Within a few minutes, 10 skewers of meat went into my stomach. Ding. Jong Zin consumes 5 kilograms of mutated frog meat and gets 4,000 kilograms back. It has been put into the portable space. Jong Fan looked at it with a smile. Jong Zin's face turned red, a little embarrassed. However, after eating it anyway, she let it go. Gudong drank the beer in one gulp. The cool beer rushed down the throat, and it was cold from the mouth to the stomach. Jong Zin's eyes narrowed in enjoyment. Ding. Jong Zin consumes 1 bottle of ice-cold snow beer and gets 800 bottles back. It has been put into the carry-on space. The weather is gradually approaching summer, and it is getting hotter and muggier day by day. Barbecue plus cold beer is definitely the ultimate happiness in the world. Thinking about what she usually eats, Jong Zin was a little shaken. Should I stay? It seems that life around Jong Fan is pretty good. However, she immediately gave up this idea. No, I must go to the official rescue point so that more survivors can be rescued in the future. Thank you. What kind of meat is this? It's delicious. Jong Fan smiled and said. The marinated mutton is quite tender. He saw with satisfaction that after Jong Zin ate the meat, the yellow light on her body completely disappeared and the green light became brighter. Jong Zin didn't expect Jong Fan to test the poison on himself, so she nodded and said. Thank you for your hospitality. If I have the chance, I will return it to you in the future. But now I have to set off. Jong Fan asked with a smile. Go to the TV station. Jong Zin touched her full stomach with satisfaction. Yeah, I don't know who the mutant frog had a fight with. He's not downstairs right now. I want to leave now. If you're still in this neighborhood, be sure to pay attention to it. Mutated frog. It even got into your stomach. Jong Fan didn't say much, just smiled and said. I'll pay attention. Jong Zin took a deep look at Jong Fan, the first and only man in her life. Angry. It's hard to say. After all, he came to look for trouble on his own. If you can't beat others, you have to admit it. Like. Even less so. The two of them only knew each other for 2 days. There is no emotional basis at all. Moreover, this man is an LSP and has a lot of women hidden in his home. Jong Zin hesitated to speak. You. Zhang Fan took out several boxes of ammunition and handed them to Zhang Zilin. It should work for you. Zhang Zilin lives longer so that she can get more information. Zhang Zilin has more green light. Thank you, I'll go then. Goodbye. Zhang Zilin nodded, turned and left. She walked up the stairs to the rooftop and looked back at the stairs. Zhang Fan did not follow. Well, Zhang Zilin was slightly disappointed and sighed. In this era, a farewell may be an eternal farewell. However, Zhang Zilin quickly cheered up, gathered her strength, and jumped back. For some reason, after eating meat, she felt her body was full of strength. Probably because I haven't eaten meat for a long time. Zhang Zilin didn't think much about it. A few minutes later, she led a team of less than 10 people downstairs and plunged into the vast dense forest. Zhang Fan felt relieved after watching her leave with his senses. When he returned home, he asked Xu Mengqian to roast 20 pounds of mutant frog meat, and then he took it downstairs and distributed it to the survivors. Everyone is having a hard time, so I treat everyone to this mutton kebab meal. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. In order not to starve to death, most people have begun to eat Li Qingchuan's strictly selected brand feces-flavored shepherd's purse. After finally taking a bite of serious meat, everyone was so excited that tears filled their eyes. Everyone eagerly ate their portion. Only a few people were still wary and did not eat immediately. How could Zhang Fan have such a kind heart? After they found out that there was nothing wrong with the others eating it, they didn't hold back for long. The aroma of the barbecue was too tempting. Moreover, everyone else had green eyes, staring eagerly at the meat skewers in their hands. If Zhang Fan hadn't been standing here to control the situation, they might have been robbed directly. They had to eat it quickly. Zhang Fan saw everyone eating and left with satisfaction. Zhang Fan would not be relieved if Zhang Zilin was the only one testing. Maybe Zhang Zilin is an exception. The number of samples tested must be sufficient to ensure a comprehensive approach. Only if no one is poisoned will he try to mutate frog meat. Zhang Fan found an empty room and went through the wall, then opened the portal and walked into the subspace. Mahai Film and Television Academy, here. Zhang Fan randomly designated a landing point. He walked out of the portal, and it turned out to be a little far away. It is more than 100 meters away from Mahai Film and Television Academy and is a commercial street outside a nearby residential area. There are shops on both sides of the road, which are now covered by layers of plants. Only the plaques on the shops are still vaguely visible. Xingfu Flower Shop, Yizhanqing Psychological Hair Shop, Jiel Supermarket, Little Bear Pet Beauty Shop. Zhang Fan suddenly stopped. In his perception, in the Little Bear Pet Beauty Shop more than 10 meters away, a radiant white fox was quietly looking at him. Zhang Fan secretly became vigilant. The size of the white fox is not large, that is, it is the size of an ordinary pet white fox. But its brightness is only slightly weaker than that of the mutated frog, and there is also a ginger emitting blue light in its body. The white fox's eyes also emitted a faint blue light, and he used some kind of pupil technique to secretly observe Zhang Fan through the thick red mist. Zhang Fan did not look back, pretending not to notice the white fox and continued walking forward, just staring at him with his senses. In the end, the white fox did not attack, turned around, got into a hole and left. Zhang Fan breathed a sigh of relief and immediately sank into the ground, heading towards the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy. Boom, boom, boom. Su Jin's door was knocked hastily. Teacher Su, open the door quickly. Teacher Kui is dying. Please save him. Su Jincho hurriedly opened the door, and a group of people carried a male teacher covered in blood into the room. It is Kui Yang, a professor in the Department of Biology. Kui Yang's face was pale and he was unconscious. There was a thick insect claw stuck in his chest, and blood was still gurgling out. Su Jin was shocked. How did this happen? One person quickly said. A big thing that looks like a beetle attacked Teacher Kui. That thing is at least 1 meter high and can fly. Fortunately we ran fast, otherwise. Just as he was talking, he was pushed away from behind. Get out of the way, didn't you see that I'm injured? A fat woman with a short stature pushed her way through the crowd, walked to the front row, and said with raised eyebrows. What are you looking at? You don't have any eyesight at all. Everyone was angry, but no one dared to say anything. This woman's name is Ding Yusho, the wife of Principal Lu Ping. She is also the most powerful psychic among the school's survivors. Unlike Su Jin's healing ability, Ding Yusho's superpower is a powerful combat ability. She can convert the fat all over her body into muscles during battle, and her skin becomes as tough as pig skin, making her extremely powerful in combat. Relying on this ability, Ding Yusho, together with Lu Ping, firmly controlled the leadership of the survivors of Mahai Film and Television Academy. Ding Yusho sat elegantly in front of Su Jin, revealing her fat arms that were about as thick as a man's calf. There was a superficial scratch of about an inch on the arm, and there wasn't even much blood. Ding Yusho said impatiently, "Su Jin, give me treatment quickly, it hurts me to death." Su Jin took a look and was speechless. If you come here a little later, the injury will heal on its own. However, Ding Yusho has always been domineering, and Su Jin did not dare to refuse, so he could only timidly whisper. "How about, Teacher Ding, you wait first, I will treat Teacher Kui first, he is dying." A male teacher also spoke out. "Yes, let Teacher Su treat Teacher Kui first. Teacher Ding, you have nothing to do. We will talk about it later." "What's the matter?" Ding Yusho stared at her bullseye and said ferociously with her pitted face. "What should I do if I get infected? The virus is so powerful now, it's not you who will get hurt. Wait, what are you waiting for? Give me treatment quickly." As he spoke, he slammed the table. Boom! Su Jin shivered with fright, shrank his head and said in fear. Okay, I'll treat you first." Ding Yusho stretched out her hand triumphantly. She knew that Su Jin's physical strength would make it difficult for him to treat two people continuously. If Kui Yang was treated first, when would it be her turn? What should I do if I get infected? She didn't want to take any risks. As for Kui Yang's life and death, it's none of her business. Everyone dared to be angry but dared not speak out. This woman relies on her strong fighting power and cooperates with the ruthless Lu Ping, and she has always been domineering. What makes everyone even more dissatisfied is that although Ding Yusho has strong fighting ability, every time she encounters danger, she is the first to use her ability to escape, and she has almost no effect. Once she came back from searching for food, she would rely on her status as a superpower, claiming that she would not be able to find so much food without her protection, and grab the best loot first. No one dared to say anything about Ding Yusho's behavior. Once this girl activates her powers, she is as powerful as an ox. It is beyond the power of ordinary people. The other two superpowers do not dare to disobey her. At this time, a voice came. "Give me." When everyone turned around, they saw a tall and thin man wearing black clothes, the Principal Lu Ping. Lu Ping gave Kui Yang a false look, and then said, "Teacher Su, please treat Teacher Ding first. Teacher Ding was injured to protect Teacher Kui, and Teacher Ding is also our strongest combatant. If we encounter danger, we have to rely on Teacher Ding to protect everyone." Right. Everyone was disdainful. Protect your ass. When something happens, Ding Yusho always runs first, okay. However, under Lu Ping's cold gaze, no one dared to say anything. Su Jin timidly said, okay. She didn't dare to delay, she just wanted to cure Ding Yusho quickly and then treat Kui Yang. Kui Yang's face became increasingly ugly and he couldn't bear it for much longer. Su Jin put his hand on Ding Yusho's arm, green light slowly appeared, and the wound healed quickly. After just a few seconds, he was back to his original state, and even the scars were not visible. Ding Yusho wiped away the blood, and there was no trace on her skin, and then she gave up her position with satisfaction. Su Jin was very tired and looked pale. Everyone looked at Su Jin with envy, this ability is so powerful. Lu Ping immediately changed his expression and urged, "Teacher Su, please treat Teacher Kui quickly. Teacher Kui will die soon." Su Jin took a few breaths with difficulty, and her eyesight turned black. She knew she had symptoms of hypoglycemia. Let me take it slow first. The treatment consumed a lot of energy, and she wasn't eating well during this period, so she couldn't bear the continuous treatment. Everyone comforted Su Jin. "Teacher Su, take a rest when you are tired. Teacher Su, here is a candy. I just found it from outside." Everyone is fawning over Su Jin. No one knows when they will ask Su Jin for help. Lu Ping Zhengyi said solemnly, "Teacher Su, hold on a little longer. You are our only doctor. If Teacher Kui fails, Teacher Kui's lover will inevitably. Su Jin felt aggrieved. Didn't you ask me to treat Ding Yusho first? Now you're relying on me again. However, she couldn't bear to see Kui Yang die. Everyone was a colleague and Kui Yang was a very good person. Su Jin stood up holding on to the table, his body swaying a little, and a female teacher quickly reached out to help him. Ding Yusho was always unhappy with the beautiful Su Jin and curled her lips disdainfully. Why are you pretending to be Lin Daiyu? Su Jin was very angry, but had no choice but to bite her lip, take a few deep breaths, and then put her hand on Kui Yang's chest. At this moment, Kui Yang's breathing stopped. Su Jin panicked and touched Kui Yang's neck for pulse, then shook his head in disappointment. There was a sudden silence in the room. Ding Yusho's face darkened. Grass. Why is the person named Kui dead? She is not a fool. She knows that once Kui Yang dies, everyone will complain about her. Sure enough, everyone looked at Ding Yusho with dissatisfaction and bad eyes. Ding Yusho said anxiously, "Look what I'm doing. It's none of my business. It's Su Jin who treated her too slowly." Everyone looked even more disdainful. We are not fools, nor can we not see what is going on. Lu Ping's face changed slightly, he rolled his eyes and said quickly. Alas, people cannot be resurrected after death. Teacher Su, please don't blame yourself. In his words, he implicitly placed the responsibility on Su Jin's head. Su Jin was very wronged, but she was cowardly and did not dare to say anything. Snap, snap, snap. Tisk, tisk, that's wonderful. Everyone looked back and saw a sunny and handsome young man walking into the room clapping his hands. The young man was Zhang Fan. He smiled as he walked. Old man, you did a great job of diverting the trouble away. Lu Ping's expression changed and he said with a dark face. Young man, how do you speak? Which department are you a student in? Why haven't I seen you before? Ding Yusho looked at Zhang Fan even more viciously, her thick carrot-like fingers clenched tightly together. Zhang Fan didn't even look at her. He just saw Ding Yusho using her power to escape underground, so he followed her all the way. Ding Yusho's fighting power is nothing to be afraid of. Zhang Fan calmly walked to Su Jin. This female teacher is very beautiful, with an indescribable temperament about her, probably because she has practiced dance and bodybuilding all year round. She has a straight back when standing casually, and with her swan-like neck and delicate facial features, she looks slim and graceful. Zhang Fan smiled and said, Professor Su Jin. Su Jin said stupidly. I am. Who are you? Zhang Fan said with a smile. Come with me. I have plenty of food. He took a fancy to Su Jin's healing ability. This ability was extremely precious and he had to take it home and get it into his own hands. Before Su Jin could say anything, Ding Yusho jumped up and said angrily. No, Su Jin is not allowed to go anywhere. Su Jin is a life-saving magic weapon. She will never allow anyone to take Su Jin away. When Su Jin heard this, he felt even more unhappy. Why do you restrict my actions? Chapter 71. Of course, Su Jin couldn't just leave Zhang Fan. She didn't know Zhang Fan. Compared to the relatively unfamiliar Zhang Fan, at least most of the survivors in the school are colleagues and students. Except for Ding Yusho and some leaders who are more annoying, most of them are trustworthy. Since you don't leave school, you have to maintain a good relationship. Su Jin immediately drew a clear line with Zhang Fan and said. I'm sorry, I don't know you, and I won't go with you. Ding Yusho was overjoyed and said proudly. You see, kid, Su Jin is from our school, who are you? The others also breathed a sigh of relief when they heard Su Jin's words. No one wants the nanny to leave. Lu Ping followed. This, sir, are you a student of Mahai Film and Television Academy? Why haven't I seen you before? He stared at Zhang Fan with a scrutinizing gaze, trying to put pressure on Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan smiled lightly, without any change in his expression, and repeated again. Professor Su Jin, I hope you leave with me. I will have enough food and a safe living environment. Su Jin shook his head firmly. No, I won't. Ah. What are you doing? Zhang Fan directly picked up Su Jin, turned around and walked out. Let me go. I'm not going. Help. Su Jin struggled desperately. It's a pity that her little strength can't even scratch his itch in front of Zhang Fan. Everyone else was dumbfounded. How the hell can you just rob someone directly? Their first instinctive reaction was to call the police, but then they realized, where are the police to deal with it now? Ding Yusho was worried. What if Su Jin was snatched away and she was injured again when she went out? Who would treat her? Ding Yusho stood in front of Zhang Fan with glaring eyes. Put her down. Zhang Fan casually slapped Ding Yusho in the face, causing blood to flow from the corner of her mouth. Zhang Fan said calmly, "Step aside." Ding Yusho was angry. "How dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? I will fight you." In an instant, all the fat on Ding Yusho's body turned into hard muscles. She strode towards Zhang Fan and punched him. Court death. Zhang Fan's eyes turned cold, and he punched Ding Yusho in front of her face. Click. Boom. Ding Yusho flew out, hit the wall hard, and collapsed softly. Ah, Teacher Ding was defeated. Everyone was horrified to find that Ding Yusho's entire face was sunken, and she could see that she was out of breath and out of breath. Su Jin was completely frightened. At Mahai Film and Television Academy, because the school leaders organized teachers to protect themselves early, although everyone was starving, and although some people died due to various reasons, there was no such brutal killing in the end. She had no idea that the survivors outside had developed to the point of killing people at every turn. Zhang Fan will not give up. To cut off the weeds, we need to get rid of the roots. Now that we have taken action, the enemy will die. There are all kinds of superpowers. Who knows whether Ding Yusho can recover? He will not leave trouble for himself. Zhang Fan followed up and kicked him horizontally. Boom. Click. Ding Yusho's neck was bent at a weird 90 degrees. Died on the spot. Ah. Su Jin was so frightened that he fainted on the spot. The scene fell silent immediately, allowing Zhang Fan to carry Su Jin out of the door. Lu Ping was so frightened that he trembled and did not dare to say a word at all. At this time, two superpowers rushed down from the upstairs in a panic. Who is causing trouble? Is it you, boy? Halfway through the conversation, the two saw Ding Yusho being beaten to death. They were so frightened that they could no longer say a word. Ding Yusho has actually been killed by him. How many seconds has it been? Although they have special powers, they can't even defeat Ding Yusho, so how can they dare to offend Zhang Fan? Zhang Fan glanced at them calmly. The two of them were so frightened that they moved out of the way without daring to stop them at all. Smart. Zhang Fan nodded with satisfaction and carried Su Jin downstairs. Under the gaze of a group of survivors, Shi Shiren walked into the red mist. Lu Ping and Zhang Fan left before rushing to Ding Yusho's body. He looked at his dead wife with shock and anger in his heart, feeling like the end of the world. He knew that his behavior during this period had aroused public outrage, but as long as Ding Yusho was there, he was not afraid. Now Ding Yusho is dead. Lu Ping felt that a catastrophe was coming. He was so frightened and angry that he completely lost his mind. He pointed at the two superpowers and said angrily, "Why don't you arrest that kid? He killed Teacher Ding. He is committing a crime. He must be shot." The two frowned and looked at each other. "Mada, that's your wife. Why don't you take revenge yourself and let us take the lead?" "I want to eat shit," the middle-aged superhuman said, displeased. "Ly. Principal Lu, you can't say that. That guy is so powerful that even Teacher Ding can't beat him. How can we possibly deal with him?" There was something wrong with the eyes of another young superpower, and he stared at Lu Ping coldly. "I used to call you principal because your wife Ding Yusho is really powerful and we can't beat her. Now that Ding Yusho is dead, what does your principal mean? What kind of bullshit school is there now? Still shot. If you can't even find a police officer, let's shoot him." Lu Ping's face was fierce and his heart was filled with tears, and he cursed with foaming foam at the mouth. "Fart. If you can't beat it, you don't need to fight it. Can't you try harder? Your thinking is very dangerous. You are powerful people with superpowers, so you should set an example. When facing danger, you must face it and resolutely protect collective safety." The young superpower was even more disgusted when he heard this. He is just a new lecturer and has always been at the bottom of the ecological chain in the college. He doesn't share in the benefits, and he does all the dirty work. Later, when the red mist came, he finally gained superpowers, but was bullied by Lu Ping and Ding Yusho in various ways. Every time he got supplies, as a superpower, he didn't get as much as the other old men and leaders. This has already made him extremely dissatisfied. Now Lu Ping expressed his anger again, causing anger to appear in the eyes of the young superpower. Maid, I was bullied if I didn't have powers, and I was bullied even if I had powers. Didn't this superpower come in vain? Lu Ping was still talking in an official tone, trying to give himself time to think. Yesterday, I held an executive meeting for everyone to unify our thinking. How come you have forgotten how the organization educates you? He didn't notice that the young superpower's fists were clenched silently. At this time, a middle-aged woman rushed in a panic and jumped on Kui Yang. Lao Kui, why are you dead? What will you do if you call me and the children after you die? Woo woo woo. Lu Ping had to stop, feeling panicked. A kind-hearted female teacher comforted her with red eyes. Teacher Wang, don't be sad. People cannot be resurrected after death. I'm so sorry. Teacher Wang cried and said, where's Su Jin? Why didn't Su Jin save my old Kui? A female teacher who was close to Su Jin said. Just now, the skin on Teacher Ding's arm was broken, but Principal Lu forced Teacher Su to save Teacher Ding first. You also know that Teacher Su does not have the physical strength to treat two people in a row. Teacher Wang looked at Lu Ping in disbelief. Principal Lu, is what Teacher Sun said true? Lu Ping hesitated and stumbled. Teacher Wang, actually Teacher Ding's injury just now was quite serious. The young superpower said sadly. Yes, it's quite serious. If it's too late, the wound will heal on its own. Lu Ping's expression changed. Teacher Wang couldn't bear it anymore and rushed towards Lu Ping with his fingernails waving. Lu Ping, you heartless fools. Lu Ping was so frightened that he held his head and backed away. In the blink of an eye, he was thrown to the ground by Teacher Wang. Teacher Wang also got angry, riding on Lu Ping, grabbing Lu Ping's hair with one hand, and scratching it hard with the other hand. Ba 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 ba, Lu Ping screamed, his face dripping with blood. Pull her away, my face is rotten, please disinfect it. Everyone pretended to pull Teacher Wang. In fact, no effort is made at all. The young superpower even kicked Lu Ping hard twice quietly in the chaos, making Lu Ping so angry that he could not speak at all. A few minutes later, Lu Ping passed out. Everyone finally pulled Teacher Wang away. Looking at Lu Ping again, he was already extremely miserable. There were blood stains everywhere on his face, arms, and neck. Teacher Wang even bit off a piece of meat from his shoulder. Everyone looked at each other. With such a serious trauma, he is dead now. The young superpower sneered secretly. Zhang Fan did not go home immediately. Instead, he carried Su Jin and walked around the school, using his senses to observe other groups of survivors in the college. There was a large group of survivors in Building 16, which meant that the danger nearby was not too great. It was just a good time for him to see the status of other survivors. If you find beautiful women, take them all back together. If you are in danger, run away. If you really can't run away, you can throw Su Jin down and use him as a human shield, right? After a while, Zhang Fan discovered 6 groups of survivors gathered in several buildings of the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy. There were more than a dozen people, and as few as 7 or 8 people. Most of them are men and less women. Moreover, Zhang Fan also discovered that among the 3 groups of survivors, there were 1 to 2 people with superpowers. Plus the 4 teachers with special abilities in Building 16. The number of superpowers in the entire Demon Sea Film and Television Academy has almost reached 10. Zhang Fan wondered. The proportion of superpowers in Demon Sea Film and Television Academy is so high. He reacted immediately. Wrong. It's not that the proportion of people with superpowers here is large, but that the group of survivors without superpowers is gradually dying out, and the rest are naturally the group of people with superpowers. It is foreseeable that various groups of survivors will experience this change. In the cruel competition for survival, those with special abilities have unique survival advantages and will surely become the ruling class of each survivor group. The order of the human world is undergoing an unstoppable transformation. At this time, Su Jin woke up. She looked around in fear. Everything was shrouded in red mist, and her field of vision was extremely small. Su Jin cried and said in horror. You, where on earth are you taking me? Zhang Fan said with a smile. Take you to enjoy the happiness. Of course Su Jin didn't believe it. Where could I go to enjoy happiness now? She begged in fear. Can I not go? Jong Fan said with ill intentions. What do you think? Su Jin was about to cry. Why are you robbing me? I'm just a foodie. I can't do anything but waste your food. Please let me go. Please, brother. This female professor is quite cute. Jong Fan put Su Jin down, turned his hand over, and a bag of beef jerky appeared. Eat it or not, it's 5 spice, slightly spicy, and quite delicious. Magic. Su Jin was a little confused, but he swallowed unconsciously and said weakly. Can I change it to satay flavor? Jong Fan almost burst out laughing. Good. The 5-spice beef jerky disappears and a bag of satay-flavored beef jerky appears. Su Jin watched timidly, swallowing saliva in his throat. Gulu. Jong Fan tore open the package and stuffed it into Su Jin's hands. Eat. The satay flavor comes out. Su Jin couldn't resist the temptation and started eating happily. She likes to eat beef jerky the most, but she practices dancing all year round. In order to keep in shape, she doesn't dare to eat more beef jerky no matter how much she likes it. She only dares to eat a small piece a day. When the red mist came, we couldn't even eat any more, and there was no beef jerky anywhere. When she suddenly saw beef jerky today, she couldn't control herself at all. Besides, there is no need to keep in shape now. I can't even eat enough, so why keep in shape? Wow, so delicious. Su Jin almost burst into tears. Jong Fan looked at Su Jin's prompt box with a smile. Su Jin. Age. 29. Quality. 9 points. Slim. Women's virtue. 10 points. Single parent family, disappointed in marriage and love. Comprehensive score. 9 points. Ding. Meets system requirements. Jong Fan was very satisfied. Very good. This body is holding up well for me. Su Jin finished eating quickly and licked her slender fingers one by one before stopping. Jong Fan took out another pack of satay-flavored beef jerky. Do you still want to eat? Su Jin surprise. Not so good. She said it was bad, but she had already taken the beef jerky in her hand and held it tightly in her arms. Greedy cat is easy to deal with. Jong Fan took out another pile of snacks. Chocolate, potato chips, nuts, plums. Su Jin couldn't move his eyes. Come back with me. Jong Fan shook the snacks like a weird squid. Okay. Su Jin made a difficult decision, his face flushed. At school, I didn't even have enough to eat. If you follow this man, at least you will have something delicious to eat. As for what will happen tonight, she has already guessed it, but now she can only bury her head like an ostrich and pretend not to know. What else could a man do to save a beautiful woman? Su Jin knew his ending, but he just didn't want to think too much about it. Anyway, he has been caught, and he can't run away, and he can't be beaten. What else can be done? At least it seems that Jong Fan is not bad to women. In this era, just take it one day at a time. Jong Fan smiled and said. Okay, then come with me to look around the school and tell me how many survivors there are. Su Jin quickly waved his hand and said in horror. Let's go back. There are monsters in the school who eat people without spitting out their bones. Monster. Jong Fan frowned. What does the monster look like? I don't know, no one has seen it. Su Jin pointed in one direction fearfully and said. Especially over the playground, almost every time our people go there, 1 or 2 of them will be dragged away. Playground. Jong Fan looked at the direction of Su Jin's finger warily. The sensing range is only 100 meters, and the playground is dozens of meters away. Jong Fan can only see the edge of the playground. But nothing was found. Wrong. Jong Fan noticed something unusual. In the direction of Su Jin's finger, the density of animals is obviously much less. Moreover, the closer to the playground, the smaller the animal density. Even when we got to the playground, there were dense plants, but not a single animal. Jong Fan's hair suddenly stood up all over his body. Weird indeed. He couldn't help but think of the weird Mahai Third People's Hospital. The situation in the playground is very similar to that in the inpatient department of a hospital. But the two places are far apart. Why is this? What do they have in common? Jong Fan suddenly remembered. Both places are adjacent to the river. Jingxiu River crosses Mahai City, and Mahai Third People's Hospital and Film and Television Academy are both on the Jingxiu River. The inpatient department of Mahai Third People's Hospital is right next to the Jingxiu River. Zhang Fan quickly asked, "Isn't the Jingxiu River over the playground?" Su Jin was stunned for a moment, nodded and said, "Yes, next to the playground is the school's iron fence wall. Outside the wall is a riverside path, and on the other side is the Jingxiu River." No wonder. Zhang Fan is basically certain that this abnormality is most likely related to the Jingxiu River. It must be some kind of creature in the river that has crawled onto land. The animals and plants on the ground have evolved so crazily, and the creatures in the water are certainly no exception. On the earth, 70% of the surface is seawater. In the boundless ocean, some kind of terrifying existence will definitely be born. Zhang Fan said decisively. "Walk." With a swipe of his finger, he tore open a blue film. Su Jin was stunned. What is this? Zhang Fan didn't explain, and pulled her into the blue film. Su Jin walked in confused. Zhang Fan did not let her stay in the subspace any longer and quickly opened the subspace anchor point at home. Su Jin was stupidly pulled out again. She was shocked to find that in the blink of an eye, she had arrived in a high-end decorated room. There was plenty of food on the table, the floor was spotless, and the furniture was clean. There were also several very good-looking women in the room. They wear all kinds of high-end clothes, have exquisite makeup, and have different looks, but all of them are beautiful women. Su Jin was stunned. At this moment, she felt a little dazed. The apocalypse is over. Am I back in civilization? Several women looked at Su Jin curiously. Suddenly, Hu Lily said in surprise. "Teacher Su, why are you here too?" Su Jin said in surprise. "Hu Lily, you are here too." Hu Lily held Su Jin's hand excitedly and said, "Great, Teacher Su, you are still alive." This is the first acquaintance she has met since the end of the world. Her family is from out of town, she has few friends in Mahai, and her parents and relatives have long been out of contact. Now seeing her former teacher, Hu Lily is very happy. Su Jin felt relieved when he saw Hu Lily. Meeting her own students also gave her some comfort, but at the same time she felt a little shy. Looking at the beauties in this room, you can tell what kind of person Zhang Fan is. Hu Lily should also follow Zhang Fan. I will also follow him in the future, right? Su Jin's cheeks turned red and she glanced at Zhang Fan secretly. Zhang Fan didn't pay attention to the woman's little thoughts. He first used his senses to observe the survivors downstairs. Fortunately, no one has been poisoned so far. This is good news. I wonder how Zhang Zilin is doing. Zhang Fan planned to check on her condition again at night and said, "Let's eat first." Xu Mengqian and the other women immediately said, "Okay, brother Zhang." Zhang Fan sat on the main seat. The girls sat in a circle in the order they joined. Su Jin was so embarrassed that she didn't know where to sit. Zhang Fan pointed to the last position. "In order, you sit at the back." Bai Xinji said softly, "Teacher Su, come and sit next to me." "Oh." Su Jin sat down nervously. Only then did she look carefully at the food on the table. It's so rich. Stir-fried shrimps, squid and ginseng soup, dongpo pork, stir-fried peas, sweet and sour fish. There are also many staple foods, including noodles, steamed buns, rice and steamed buns. There is no shortage of drinks, including Coke, Sprite, green tea, purified water, beer, and liquor. This table will cost at least 2,000 yuan before the end of the world. In this day and age, the value is even more inestimable. Su Jin covered her mouth in shock. She really couldn't imagine that she could still eat these things. Zhang Fan looked around with satisfaction. Tang Shiru, Xu Mengqian, Hu Lily, Lu Mengyao, Tian Tian, Bai Xinji, Su Jin. However, the big table was almost full again. And the room is a bit inadequate. Zhang Fan started to think. On this floor, except for Tang Shiru's house which is better decorated, other houses are average. Decoration issues are second, and the most troublesome issue is safety. After the red mist falls, the world is very dangerous. The more scattered women live, the greater the danger. In case of danger, Zhang Fan may not be able to rescue him in time. Although he doesn't care about a woman's life or death, it's better not to die if he can. At least you can buy yourself supplies, right? It's time to change to a more suitable living environment. Zhang Fan thought to himself. It's best to stay away from the ground and have a good living environment. Zhang Fan turned his head and looked out the window. On the horizon, a building towers into the clouds. It is the Pearl of the Demonic CTV Tower. The Pearl of the Demon CTV Tower is the landmark building of the Demon Sea, 500 meters high. In addition to TV signal equipment, Pearl of the Demon Sea also has a luxurious revolving restaurant and a top hotel at an altitude of 450 meters. It is almost impossible for survivors to get up to such a high place after a power outage. Even if you get up there, you will soon die from lack of food and water. However, Zhang Fan is very suitable there. None of the girls held chopsticks, they all looked at Zhang Fan quietly. Su Jin was very greedy and could only wait with the other girls. Zhang Fan looked away, smiled, picked up his chopsticks and took a bite. The sweet and sour fish is good, let's eat it. The atmosphere suddenly became relaxed. The girls chatted happily. After following Zhang Fan, they became accustomed to eating delicious food and were not in a hurry. They ate and ate while chatting about interesting things in the day. A survivor from Building B came over and came to see Dr. Lee. Drive Lee is a good man. I told him about the mutated shepherd's purse. Hey, don't mention that thing while eating, it's really disgusting. Coke is a bit of a glutton for food. I ate too much. Sister, Brother Zhang gave you your lipstick, can you lend it to me? Hu Lily came to Su Jin's side and helped Su Jin pick up some pieces of meat. Teacher Su, eat quickly, Sister Shu's cooking is so good. Su Jin took a bite cautiously. She was very excited to eat and drink, but it was a new arrival and she was not embarrassed at all. Hu Lily stopped after taking 2 bites, took a bottle of purified water, drank it, and chatted with Su Jin. Su Jin tried her best to suppress her urge to binge eat, and tried her best to eat the food in an elegant manner. Hu Lily, why don't you eat? Oh, I've gained another pound. I can't get any fatter. Hu Lily rubbed her belly depressedly. Look, Teacher Su, I've grown a belly. It's all my fault, Sister Shu, the food she cooks is so delicious. Su Jin was speechless. How many people are starving to death outside? Are you still worried about gaining weight? Su Jin glanced at Zhang Fan, who was talking to Shu Mengqian, and carefully inquired. Do you eat like this every day? Hu Lily said casually. Well, more or less. We are all trapped here and have nothing else to do. My sisters and I learned to cook from Shu Mengqian. You see, I cooked this braised carp. Su Jin said in surprise. You have plenty of food. Hu Lily laughed. I definitely can't tell you this to the survivors outside, but since Brother Zhang brought you here, we are sisters, so of course I can tell you. Brother Zhang has a portable space. He has long known that the red mist will come, so he is prepared in advance. We have bought countless supplies, enough for us to live in for 10 lifetimes, so you can enjoy yourself here. Su Jin's face turned slightly red. The student said so honestly that being her sister made her a little uncomfortable. At the same time, she was surprised that Zhang Fan actually knew in advance that the red mist was coming. Why, as for portable space, she already believes it. Just now, Zhang Fan magically took out a bunch of snacks, probably from the portable space. At this moment, Su Jin saw Zhang Fan take out a black lychee and handed it to Shu Mengqian. Today's meal was good, this fruit of perception will reward you. Shu Mengqian said excitedly. Thank you, Brother Zhang. She glanced at the girls proudly before proudly eating the black lychee. The girls said congratulations, but in fact they were secretly jealous. Bitcha, HMPH, when I learn to cook too, let's see what else you say. Su Jin was shocked and said. That's. Isn't this the superpower fruit I ate before? The treasure that countless survivors were eager to take out was actually taken out so casually. Hu Lily said casually. It's just superpowers. Brother Zhang has many. As long as Teacher Su behaves well, he will also reward you. Really, Su Jin couldn't believe it. Such a precious treasure, how many more can there be? How about that exaggeration? At this time, a huge husky walked in. Su Jin was startled. Seeing that all the girls were talking and laughing as usual, he reluctantly calmed down. The husky lay down next to Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan rubbed the dog's head, then took out a subspace shuttle fruit and threw it into the husky's mouth. Click, click, the husky ate it. Everyone in Su Jin was numb. She glanced at the girls, and they didn't have any expressions. They were obviously used to this kind of scene. Su Jin secretly marveled. If a superpower fruit appears outside, a dog will be beaten out of his brain, but Zhang Fan has so many superpower fruits that he can feed a dog. After Su Jin finished eating, he was in a daze. She was already secretly glad that Zhang Fan had snatched her away. This place was simply heaven. After Zhang Fan finished his meal, he went to the rooftop to practice breathing techniques and ghost maneuvers. After practicing, I took out handfuls of will link fruits and ate them. The fruit of will is the most suitable fruit for him, and of course he must rise to 9 stars as soon as possible. 1 handful, 2 handfuls, 3 handfuls. After eating countless handfuls, Zhang Fan finally heard the system prompt. Ding! Will link increased to 9 stars. Zhang Fan's eyes suddenly lit up and he immediately opened the panel to check. Will link, 9 stars. You can establish a will link with the creatures within your field of vision and communicate in consciousness. The distance is 500 kilometers. The upper limit of simultaneous will links, 100. You can use your will to build a consciousness space and pull all linkers into it for communication. The upper limit of the consciousness space that can exist at the same time is 10. You can forcibly pull the target into the conscious space. The success rate and duration depend on the will gap between you and the opponent. You can create illusions in the target's consciousness. The success rate and duration of the illusion depend on the will gap between you and the other party. Will plus 50. Create an illusion. Zhang Fan couldn't wait to try it. During his perception, Zhang Fan randomly found a female survivor who was nearly 50 years old in Block A. Zhang Fan knew her. Her name is Zheng Lanlin, she is a rich woman, and she once seduced Zhou Tianao in the group. However, the wealth of human society is now worthless, and Zheng Lanlin has become one of the countless survivors, lying on the ground starving. Zheng Lanlin was probably sick. The light in her body was obviously dimmer than the others, and the bubble of will was more fragile than other survivors. It was shaking very badly and looked like it might break at any time. It seems that physical condition also affects the strength of will. Zhang Fan's heart moved, and his consciousness directly pierced Zheng Lanlin's will bubble, using it to create a fragrant roast duck in her consciousness. Zheng Lanlin stared blankly at the sky outside, feeling hot and painful all over. The day before yesterday, she was bitten by a small black insect, and then developed a high fever. Without a doctor or medicine, Zheng Lanlin could only wait to die. Am I going to die? Zheng Lanlin thought unwillingly. I still have 3 houses, and the monthly rent is 20,000 yuan. I am so unwilling. Why me? Bug, so many people don't bite it, why did it bite me? Zheng Lanlin was filled with resentment, but she had nowhere to vent her anger and no strength to vent it. The last food had been eaten and she had been hungry all day and could only lie on the ground waiting to die. At this moment, she suddenly saw a plate of golden roast duck placed on the balcony railing. Zheng Lanlin was stunned, obviously not a second ago. Am I hallucinating from hunger? She licked her chapped lips involuntarily. It must be an illusion. Immediately afterwards, the aroma of roast duck came. Zheng Lanlin, who had endured hunger for a long time, began to secrete saliva like crazy. Fragrant. It is true. Zheng Lanlin couldn't stand the temptation of the roast duck anymore. She completely ignored the unreasonable things and climbed up with difficulty, staggering towards the roast duck. Roast duck, my roast duck. Her face was twisted and crazy, and she grabbed the roast duck, feeling a greasy feeling in her hands. Just as she was about to stuff it into her mouth, the roast duck disappeared, then reappeared, suspended half a meter above her head. No, my roast duck. Zheng Lanlin struggled to reach higher and screamed angrily. This is my roast duck. Mine. Unfortunately, every time when it is about to be caught, the roast duck will change its position. Zheng Lanlin was dancing, anxious and angry. The other survivors in the room watched silently as Zheng Lanlin waved her arms in the air on the balcony. Zheng Lanlin is crazy. Maybe he's hungry. The fever has burned out this woman's brain. Finally, the roast duck appeared 1 meter outside the iron railing. Zheng Lanlin jumped out of the iron railing without hesitation, grabbed the roast duck in midair, and then fell to her death. The other survivors just looked on numbly. Another jump. Zhang Fan withdrew his gaze with satisfaction. He had a certain understanding of the hallucination. Hallucinations can not only simulate vision, but also smell and touch, and probably taste as well. Creating hallucinations is much less expensive than forcing consciousness. The simpler the illusion, the less energy is consumed. The more realistic the illusion, the greater the energy consumption. This ability is very useful. Zhang Fan came up with all kinds of sinister ways in an instant. So far, he already has 2 9-star abilities, Subspace Shuttle and Will Link. Coupled with the burst of energy and blood and the strengthening of the physique, it has both frontal combat capabilities, sneak attacks and life-saving abilities, almost all of them are full. In addition, there is Su Jin's healing ability waiting for him to harvest. Zhang Fan laughed. He took out a bunch of perception fruits and ate them. It's a pity that I didn't get a star after eating for a long time. The sky slowly darkened. Zhang Fan planned to practice the breathing method a few more times before going home to rest. The sightings of white foxes and aquatic creatures, as well as the large number of superpowers discovered today, made him faintly worried about the future. There are more and more powerful enemies, and the world is becoming more and more dangerous. Strength is the foundation of everything. Breathe, breathe. Zhang Fan repeatedly filled up qi and then consumed it all, 4 times in a row. Through continuous practice, he discovered some changes. The overall capacity of qi seems to have increased a little. Each time qi is filled, the number of ghost maneuvers increases from 10 to 12. Can the capacity be increased? Zhang Fan was surprised. He looked at the green ginger inside his body. Ginger has grown up. Moreover, several protrusions have grown on ginger, making the whole body look more stretched and brighter. Could it be that qi is the fertilizer for ginger? Zhang Fan practiced for a while and then went home. The women had unscrewed dozens of large buckets of pure water in advance and filled the bathtub with a full tank. Su Jin asked curiously, "What is this for?" Tang Shiru smiled and said, "Bath. Take a bath with pure water." Su Jin couldn't believe it. Many people outside don't even have enough drinking water. Zhang Fan actually uses pure water to bathe. How much supplies did he store in advance? While Su Jin was shocked, he made up his mind to stay here. Compared to starving outside, this place is simply paradise. No normal person would be willing to leave. When Zhang Fan returned home, Lu Mengyao took the initiative to step forward and gently helped Zhang Fan take off his coat. Bai Xinji brought a wet wipe and wiped Zhang Fan's sweat. Even Tian Tian, who had never taken the initiative, stepped forward and handed Zhang Fan a bottle of his favorite ice cream. There are more and more women, and every woman is afraid of being abandoned and dare not relax at all. Su Jin looked at a group of women vying for beauty in front of Zhang Fan, feeling a little overwhelmed and a little blushing. Zhang Fan just enjoyed the services of the women without saying anything. After taking a shower, he went back to the room to rest. The girls glanced at Su Jin jealously and went back to their rooms in 2s and 3s. Soon only Su Jin and Hu Lili were left in the living room. Hu Lili said enviously, "As usual, tonight belongs to you." "Huh." Su Jin was so shy. 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun rises. Su Jin is still sleeping. Zhang Fan walked to the window, and the golden sunlight shone on the boundless red mist, glowing with a magnificent orange color. If you only looked at such a beautiful scenery, who would have thought that the red mist had turned into a primitive and murderous jungle? More and more big trees poked their heads out from the red mist, growing crazily toward the sky. Birds of all kinds hover above it. They are very smart and rarely fall into the red mist. Suddenly, a huge cat jumped out from the tree crown, grabbed a bird, and fell back into the red mist. Zhang Fan watched all this quietly, silently observing the status of the survivors downstairs with his senses. One night passed, and still no one was poisoned. Moreover, Zhang Fan keenly discovered that the light on them became brighter. It seems that the mutated frog meat is not only non-toxic, but also seems to be very good for the body. Zhang Fan secretly rejoiced. How is Zhang Ziling doing? He opened the blue portal and walked into the subspace. In the dim subspace, the subspace anchor on Zhang Ziling's body was as conspicuous as a torch. Looking at the subspace anchor point, Zhang Fan discovered some new uses of subspace. For a long time, Zhang Fan could only see the subspace within 5 kilometers due to the subspace shuttle of 9 stars. The subspace 5 kilometers away is boundless darkness and nothingness. Zhang Ziling walked 5 kilometers away. From the subspace, it seemed that she was in a void. However, the subspace anchor point on her body illuminated a sphere with a radius of about 100 meters, and Zhang Fan also saw the scenery in this area. Now, Zhang Zilin and his team are sleeping in an empty building. 1 day passed, and of the 10 people she took away, 2 more disappeared, probably dead on the road. Everyone is still sleeping. Zhang Zilin's light is normal, and there seems to be no sign of poisoning. Wait, Zhang Fan suddenly reacted. I can actually see the light of Zhang Zilin and others. This is the effect of perception. And the distance between me and them is more than 5 kilometers. The sensing range is only 100 meters. Zhang Fan squinted his eyes and started thinking. The range of perception is 100 meters, and the spherical area illuminated by the anchor point is also about a radius of 100 meters. Is this 100-meter illumination range caused by perception? Then can I understand it this way? Subspace is not included in the perceptual distance. Perception can be transmitted losslessly through subspace to the subspace anchor point, and then with the subspace anchor point as the center, the perception can be 100 meters around. To put it simply, the subspace anchor point is like a relay station, delivering my perception ability to distant places. An idea flashed in Zhang Fan's mind. If the warp didn't calculate distance, the portal can also be regarded as a relay station. After all, even standing in the subspace, I can sense objects outside the portal. For example, right now, standing in the subspace, he can sense the girls outside the door, as well as all objects within a 100-meter radius of the portal. In other words, the portal can indeed be regarded as a perception ability relay station, delivering the perception ability to anywhere within 5 kilometers. With a thought in Zhang Fan's mind, he found a random place at Mahai Film and Television Academy and opened the landing portal. In an instant, the perception ability spreads out along the portal. All animals and plants within 100 meters have entered his perception. Zhang Fan immediately closed this door and opened another door at the Third People's Hospital. The deathly silent inpatient department is also included in the range of perception. Ha ha ha, it's true. Zhang Fan laughed heartily. It turns out that I have such a top-level surveillance method, and I didn't even notice it myself. The real world has always been extremely distorted when viewed in subspace. Not to mention the animals and plants, even the buildings are almost invisible. Therefore, Zhang Fan didn't pay much attention to the surveillance capabilities of subspace. Only now did he realize that opening a portal anywhere within 5 kilometers was equivalent to inserting an eye of perception there. Everything within a 100-meter radius of the eye of perception can be seen at a glance. There are too many benefits to this approach. Fast, convenient and safe. Even hidden. Think about it, if you open the portal underground, or open a microportal as small as 1 millimeter, who can find it? But he can pass through this door and monitor everything nearby without risking his own body at all. The only limit is the number of times. Because subspace shuttle can only open the door 12 times a day. Zhang Fan was in a great mood. He walked out of the subspace and returned to his room to check last night's harvest. Ding. 1 day ago, Su Jin consumed a pack of bread and returned 900 packs. It has been put into the portable space. Ding. 2 days ago, Su Jin consumed a pack of biscuits and returned 900 packs. It has been put into the carry-on space. Ding. 3 days ago, Su Jin consumed a box of milk and returned 900 boxes. It has been put into the portable space. Ding. 13 days ago, Su Jin consumed an enlightenment fruit, life enlightenment, and 900 were returned. It has been put into the portable space. Enlightenment fruit, life inspiration, 2 stars. After eating, you can gain life-stimulating ability. Eating the same fruit repeatedly has a chance of improving the star rating. Life inspires, isn't it treatment? Zhang Fan turned his hand, and a black lychee appeared in his hand, and he ate it without saying a word. Life stimulation. 2 stars, you can consume the target's future vitality and quickly heal its current injuries, treatment loss ratio equals 1/100. Zhang Fan frowned. Consume future vitality to treat current injuries. This thing should seriously shorten your lifespan, right? Moreover, the treatment loss ratio is as high as 1/100, which is an extremely exaggerated waste. In other words, this ability can only be used by oneself for emergencies and cannot be used as a routine means. Li Qingchuan is still valuable. But, If it's used to treat other people, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the person being treated doesn't know that he will lose his lifespan, but Jong Fan can use this method to treat the other person, and then take the opportunity to ask for a large amount of rewards. Of course, this kind of transaction is only for some special circumstances. In most cases, if Jong Fan likes the other party's supplies, he will just grab them. Even if it is a person, he can rob it directly, just like he robbed Su Jin. How could the survivors of the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy dare to say anything? When the gap in strength between the two sides is too large, there is no equality at all. At this time, Su Jin woke up. She looked at Jong Fan shyly. Jong Fan took out a royal sister costume and handed it to her. It should suit you. Well, Su Jin nodded shyly. Jong Fan asked, how much do you know about the superpowers at Demon Sea Film and Television Academy? What abilities do they each have? Mahai Film and Television Academy is not too big. The survivors are basically teachers and students. Jong Fan felt that Su Jin should know something. Jong Fan's perception plus subspace can easily monitor all superpowers, but he cannot see their abilities, so Su Jin needs to provide some information. Su Jin indeed knew and replied, I know of 4 people with superpowers. The most famous one is Lu Junpeng. This man is a rich second-generation student who is very cruel. He has killed many teachers and students in order to grab supplies, but he is too strong and everyone is helpless. When Su Jin talked about Lu Junpeng, a look of fear appeared on his face. Lu Junpeng, like Jong Fan, is extremely lustful. However, unlike Jong Fan, Lu Junpeng is a psychopath, and the women he gets have never survived more than 3 days. And after playing with it himself, he will hand it over to his subordinates until he plays to death. Su Jin is very afraid of Lu Junpeng. If Lu Junpeng hadn't figured out Ding Yusho's strength and was unwilling to take risks, he would have been caught by him and played to death. Fortunately, now I have left Mahai Film and Television Academy. Jong Fan condensed and said, oh, he has 2 abilities. What abilities are they? Su Jin said, the most obvious ability is that he is so fast that he can't see clearly with his eyes. The other ability is what everyone guessed, which is probably seeing through red mist, because he has never hit anything when moving at high speed. Quote. Jong Fan nodded. This guess is very reasonable. There are almost no fools among the survivors who can survive to this day. People without brains have long since died in the cruel competition for survival and become the trophies of others. Who else besides Lu Junpeng? Su Jin continued. There are 2 other teachers you have seen. They are the 2 teachers who blocked you when you took me back. The young one is called Lu Zhen. His ability is super endurance. His endurance is very strong. The older one is Professor Wang Hai. His ability is that he is as light as a swallow and can jump from high places without getting hurt. The last one is a girl majoring in music. Her name is Ji Yu Lianying. Like Hu Lily, she is also my student. Ji Yu Lianying's ability is water condensation. She can condense pure water out of thin air. With this ability, she led a group of survivors to live a comfortable life. Even Lu Junpeng was unwilling to offend her. After all, Lu Junpeng also needs Ji Yu Lianying. Provide water. I don't know if there are any superpowers left. Because I basically don't go out. I just listen to what other people say when chatting. Condensing water. Jong Fan was very interested in this ability and asked. Isn't Ji Yu Lianying pretty? Even the will link that can only make phone calls can become so powerful after it is upgraded to 9 stars. The condensation will probably not be weak either. Moreover, condensing water is most likely not a physical power, so it will be less difficult for you to rise to a high star. If Ji Yu Lianying can pass the system evaluation, she will have another superpower. Having more skills doesn't overwhelm people. As for women, they are just gifts. Su Jin was speechless. You really don't hold yourself back. If it were a peaceful time and her man was talking excitedly about another girl to her, Su Jin would definitely slap him. But now, if she left Jong Fan, she doubted whether she could survive another day. Su Jin could only say aggrievedly. Very beautiful. Ji Yu Lianying is the most famous school beauty of Mahai Film and Television Academy. The Ji Yu family is a musical family. Ji Yu Lianying's father is a guzheng master. Ji Yu Lianying also plays the guzheng extremely well. Jiyu Lianying Ying's mother is the principal of the National Song and Dance Ensemble. Very good. Zhang Fan's eyes showed a smile. He originally didn't want to go to Mahai Film and Television Academy again. After all, there are traces of monsters in the water. Now it seems that we must at least bring this Jiyu Lianying back. As for the other survivors, Zhang Fan didn't care at all whether they would die after creating water without Jiyu Lianying. Zhang Fan also noticed something. As time went by, fewer and fewer beauties survived. Even in a place like Mahai Film and Television Academy, which is supposed to be full of beauties, only Su Jin, Jiyu Lianying and two pretty enough beauties are left. Both of them relied on their supernatural powers to survive. Zhang Fan thought, the beauties who have survived to this day, except for a few who are unlucky, probably all have supernatural powers. All beauties without superpowers should be dead. In cruel killings, weakness and beauty have always been the best prey. Mahai Film and Television Academy. The top floor of the library. A dozen strong boys gathered around, tearing up books, lighting a fire and eating instant noodles. In the corner, there were 3 female corpses covered with wounds. The boy in the middle has a fair face, sinister eyes, earrings in his ears, and is wearing a designer suit, which is now dirty and tattered. He is Lu Junpeng. Lu Junpeng rolled up his sleeves, took a sip of wine, and said in surprise, "Ding Yusho is really dead." A boy with dark skin definitely said, "Dead. I accidentally saw her and Lu Ping's bodies, thrown under the 16th building." Ding Yusho's neck was broken. Okay. Lu Junpeng laughed wildly and patted the table. Boom. Those shabby school leaders and teachers have taken up the most supplies, and now they all belong to me. I have long wanted to taste a female teacher. Hee hee, Lu Junpeng said with a lewd smile. And the lovely teacher Su Jinsu, I have missed her for a long time. The boys' eyes turned red and they screamed with excitement. Ha ha ha, without further delay, let's take action immediately. Yes, kill all those shabby teachers to prevent them from wasting food. This group of people followed Lu Junpeng on a killing spree, and they were no longer the students they used to be. Hey, Teacher Su is so beautiful in dance class. No matter how beautiful you are, how can you compare to Jiyu Lianying? By the way, Brother Peng, let's snatch Jiyu Lianying away too. When Lu Junpeng heard Jiyu Lianying, he couldn't help but think of that beautiful face, and felt itchy in his heart. However, he was still sensible and said with a straight face, Jiyu Lianying can't move for the time being. Who will make water for us if she dies? A man named Fang Daoping said unwillingly. Brother Peng, arrest Jiyu Lianying. I don't believe she dares not to create water after she is in our hands. Bang! Lu Junpeng slapped his hand and yelled. Fang Daoping, you are so cruel. What if Jiyu Lianying commits suicide? If she is dead, you are just trying to make water for me. Fang Daoping was slapped so hard that half of his face turned red and he did not dare to speak. Everyone looked at Fang Daoping with joy and ridicule. Fang Daoping lowered his eyes and clenched his fists, suppressing his anger. Originally, he and Lu Junpeng were both rich second generations and had a good relationship. In fact, he didn't like Lu Junpeng at all. Fang Daoping's father is one of the top 10 business tycoons in the Demon Sea. Lu Junpeng's father is a loser. As a result, when the red mist came, the world completely changed. Lu Junpeng's turtle hair actually gained powerful powers and climbed onto his head. How could Fang Daoping endure this? But you have to endure it. Without Lu Junpeng, Fang Daoping would have died 8 times long ago. Lu Junpeng glanced at Fang Daoping proudly, feeling extremely happy. He had long known that Fang Daoping was unhappy with him, but he deliberately spared his life. In the past, Fang Daoping often looked down on him openly or secretly, and Lu Junpeng could do nothing about it. Now Lu Junpeng just wants to see Fang Daoping being his dog. The pleasure of continuing to humiliate Fang Daoping is much better than killing him. Another person asked, but boss, that girl Jiyu Lianying pretends to be aloof in front of her brothers every day, why don't we deal with her? Lu Junpeng also had designs on Jiyu Lianying, and said with a ferocious smile. Of course I have to deal with it. I don't have to catch her directly, I can still hold her tightly. Everyone is curious. Oh, Brother Peng, tell me quickly. Lu Junpeng said proudly. Simple. Jiu Lianying's group of women don't dare to go out to collect supplies, so they have to trade with other people. As long as we kill all the other survivors, she can only trade with me. Then she can't just sit there and raise the price. I want to sell, she has to sell it for how much it costs. At that time, you still won't let me control it. As long as we kill all the other survivors, the water we grab can last at least a week, and the food in Jiu Lianying's hand can last at most 3 days. After 3 days, that Jiu Lianying will take the initiative to kneel in front of me. Ha ha ha. Everyone was overjoyed. Brother Peng is still smart. He, that girl Jiu Lianying is the best at pretending. I've long disliked her. When the time comes, I'll strip naked and see how she still pretends. Boss is eating head soup, can we also drink some too? Ha ha ha, don't worry, Brother Peng, I never treat my brothers badly. Do it quickly. Yes, Brother Peng, hurry up and do it, I can't wait. Lu Junpeng's eyes flashed fiercely. Okay, let's finish our meal. Today we will rob Su Jin to let the brothers have fun. Tomorrow we will kill all the other survivors. Food is getting scarcer and harder to find now. It's too dangerous to go outside to collect food. How can it be faster than robbing other survivors? Moreover, if all the survivors are dead, there will naturally be more food. Please, don't kill me. Please, Lu Junpeng, I am your teacher. Ha 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 ha, I've long been unhappy with this pretentious old man like you. You can't do this. Beast, I'll kill you. Where's the horse riding Su Jin? Who the hell hid Su Jin? Tell me. Classmate Lu, do you have a grudge against Teacher Su? She was taken away. You have a grudge against her. Why are you causing trouble for us? Help me. My leg is broken. Help. Building 16 was caught in a bloody storm. Lu Junpeng led a dozen of his strong men to vent their anger crazily in the building. The leaders and professors who were originally aloof now all lie on the ground begging for mercy. The power to decide the life and death of others at will makes Lu Junpeng feel the joy that goes deep into his bones. This is life. I am the son of destiny. Lu Junpeng waved the watermelon knife, laughed wildly, looked down at the crowd and said, Wang Hai, Lu Zhen, you two are superpowers, I will give you a chance, surrender to me, and I will let you live. Ahem, cough, cough. Surrender. Professor Wang Hai was beaten to the ground and stood up with difficulty holding on to the window sill. The window has been broken, and the 2 female teachers were thrown down just now. Wang Hai said slowly, Classmate Lu, surrender is not impossible. Halfway through his words, he suddenly turned over and jumped out of the window. In midair, his body was as light as a fallen leaf, falling to the ground at a constant speed. 10 seconds later, Wang Hai's feet landed on the ground, and his feet were a little numb from the shock. He had never jumped from such a high position. Wang Hai was about to run away when he suddenly found that Lu Junpeng was already standing in front of him, waiting for him. He knew that Lu Junpeng was fast, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. He went downstairs before he even landed. Wang Hai was horrified and said in panic, Classmate Lu, listen to me. Lu Junpeng smiled ferociously and slashed out with his sword. You're so old, you still want to run away. With the blessing of rapid power, the watermelon knife dragged out the phantom like lightning. Aha! Wang Hai's consciousness fell into darkness. Wang Hai jumped off the building to escape, and Lu Junpeng immediately rushed downstairs to chase him. Only a few of Lu Junpeng's men were left in the room. The teachers and school leaders lying on the ground looked at each other quietly and were about to think of a way to escape. Lu Junpeng's figure returned to the room like a ghost, still holding the bloody head in his hand. There was a sudden silence in the room. Lu Junpeng's men were so excited that they shouted, Brother Peng is awesome. Brother Peng is invincible. Lu Junpeng took a few breaths and finally recovered. Although he has gained the power of speed, his physical strength is very average and he cannot withstand an explosion for too long. What's more, climbing the 20th floor in one breath almost burst his lungs. If it wasn't for the purpose of establishing authority in front of his men and survivors, he wouldn't have fought so hard. All the teachers and survivors were trembling. This is too fast. I can't run away at all. Plop! Lu Junpeng threw Wang Hai's head to the ground. The head rolled in front of a female teacher. The head was covered with blood, and Wang Hai's eyes were wide open. The female teacher screamed in fright and passed out on the spot. Lu Junpeng said with a ferocious smile. Scream, someone, throw her down. Okay. Fang Daoping and another subordinate agreed, stepped forward, lifted the female teacher and threw her out of the window. Soon, a dull sound of landing came from downstairs. Some teachers were so frightened that their crotches became wet. Lu Junpeng looked at the last superpower user, Lu Zhen, and said with evil intentions. Teacher Lu. Lu Zhen could no longer bear the huge fear, crawled out on his hands and feet, and said in panic. Lu, Brother Peng, I am willing to surrender. I am willing to surrender. The other teachers all showed contempt. A teacher actually knelt down in front of his students and begged for mercy. But the situation is stronger than the people, and they can only watch all this in fear. Lu Junpeng laughed wildly. Good, good, good. Those who know the current affairs are heroes. Lu Zhen felt very ashamed, but he was also relieved. In this case, it would be good to survive. Face is nothing. Lu Junpeng laughed and said. I, Lu Junpeng, am the most righteous person. We all have a share in these female teachers. Teachers Lu Zhen and Sun Qiu will share it with you. The female teacher Sun Qiu trembled. Lu Zhen did not dare to refuse and said awkwardly. Many, thank you Brother Peng. Lu Junpeng laughed gloomily. Then what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Lu Zhen was stunned. Ah, now, Lu Junpeng said matter-of-factly. Nonsense. Where are you waiting for tonight? It's not like you're going to enter the bridal chamber, you're so particular about it. Hurry up. Sun Qiu looked pale, crossed her arms and looked at Lu Zhen and said. Teacher Lu, you, don't come over. Lu Zhen said with fear and shame. Teacher Sun, please understand. He reached out to grab it and was slapped in the face by Sun Qiu. Sun Qiu screamed, shameless, get away. Lu Zhen was angry. He simply put down the burden in his heart and roared. Get here, ha ha ha. Lu Junpeng laughed with satisfaction. Yes, that's it. Hey, hey, hey. Don't carry it into the house, it's right here, let's enjoy it together. It's here, in front of so many people. Lu Zhen's mind went blank. Lu Junpeng took out his mobile phone and turned on the camera, and urged impatiently. Hurry up, the battery is running low. You will not die well. Sun Qiu was so ashamed and angry that she suddenly passed out. Everyone laughed wildly. No one noticed that a blue portal appeared on the top of the building that was so small that it was almost invisible. Zhang Fan stood in the subspace, quietly watching the tragedy in the room, without any disturbance in his heart. He just watched quietly and carefully analyzed Lu Junpeng's abilities. Girls' dormitory building, Wenyuan building. 10 floors. Boom, boom, boom. There was a knock on the door, and an anxious voice came from outside. Ji Yu Lianying, it's me. Open the door. Ji Yu Lianying cautiously looked out from the peephole, and saw 2 men and 1 woman, both of whom were acquaintances. Members of the group of student survivors in the building next door. The tall boy leading the group is Zhou Mingbo, the leader of this group of survivors. Zhou Mingbo is also a superpower and can heal himself quickly. Ji Yu Lianying winked into the room, and all the girls stood up, holding mops, chair legs and other simple weapons, and stood nervously behind Ji Yu Lianying. Ji Yu Lianying took a deep breath before opening the door and asked calmly. Zhou Mingbo, what's going on today? Didn't I change the water with you yesterday? Zhou Mingbo said nervously. Lu Junpeng is crazy. He killed all the teachers in the 16 buildings of the family building. We have to find a way. Ji Yu Lianying's face changed slightly. The school is not big, and Wenyuan building is not far from the family area. Ji Yu Lianying and the other girls also heard the continuous screams. I originally thought that a certain team encountered a monster, but it turned out to be Lu Junpeng who was killing people. The teacher was killed. Due to their status, many students still dare not make mistakes against their teachers. People like Ji Yu Lianying, although they don't still obey the teacher's advice, are not willing to offend the teacher. Teacher survivors are also reluctant to contact students. Due to the psychological inertia left over from peacetime, teachers instinctively feel that they should protect students. But now there's not enough food, and they can't even take care of themselves. How can they protect the students? In short, the relationship between the 2 parties is generally amicable. Lu Junpeng is completely different. He is a madman and has completely let himself go. Ji Lianying's heart beat wildly. Of course she knew that Lu Junpeng had plans for her. The guy never even hid it. If I fall into Lu Junpeng's hands, my life will definitely be worse than death. I can't sit still and wait for death. Ji Lianying was very panicked, but now she could only grit her teeth and calm down and asked. Zhou Mingbo, what are you going to do? Zhou Mingbo was very nervous. We have decided to leave. Now that Lu Junpeng has taken action, he will not let it go. Ji Lianying, let's go together. The food in the school is very limited, and there are many conflicts between the various survivor groups. Especially domineering people like Lu Junpeng often clash with other groups of survivors. The group led by Zhou Mingbo is naturally no exception. The only way now is to escape. The dangers outdoors are extremely great. You will inevitably encounter various dangers when traveling long distances. Food and drinking water are also problems. Zhou Mingbo wanted to take Ji Lianying away, not only because she was beautiful, but mainly because she could make water. This is mobile tap water. Ji Lianying thought quickly and made up her mind. Good. The girls were afraid and said, Lianying, it's too dangerous outside. Lianying, Lu Junpeng won't touch us, right? He also needs to drink water. Lianying, how naive. Ji Lianying explained helplessly. Think about it, if everyone else runs away and only us and Lu Junpeng are left, who else can we turn to trade food? Shouldn't we let him control it by then? What will happen when we run out of food? Even if he says how can we refuse a woman in exchange for a loaf of bread? The girls paused for a moment and said unconfidently. Yes, probably not. This group of girls are all girls from several dormitories around Ji Lianying, and they usually have a good relationship with Ji Lianying. They are extremely lucky. After the red mist descended, Ji Lianying quickly gained the ability to create water, and she relied on pure water to exchange food with others to protect the girls. They have never been exposed to any risks, so they are even less willing to face the dangers outside. A long-haired girl named Li Min said with luck, Lianying, Lu Junpeng doesn't dare to offend you. If you don't make water for him, he will die of thirst. Before Ji Lianying could speak, Zhou Mingbo sneered. Childish. If Lu Junpeng gets violent and catches Ji Lianying in his hands, it won't be him who has the final say to flatten and round Ji Lianying. Do you think you can withstand Lu Junpeng's methods of dealing with women? The girls couldn't help but shudder when they thought of the rumors about Lu Junpeng's treatment of women. Ji Lianying hugged Li Min and comforted. Li Min, Lu Junpeng won't let us go. It's safer to leave. There are so many trees outside now. As long as we leave Mahai Film and Television Academy, he won't be able to find us. Li Min is her roommate, and they have a very good relationship. Li Min didn't appreciate it. A stinky man dared to say loudly that he was not him. She screamed angrily. Why are you talking? You are so naive. Who do you think you are? Zhou Mingbo snorted coldly, too lazy to pay attention to such a shameless woman. If it weren't for Ji Lianying's care, this kind of woman wouldn't be alive today. Zhou Mingbo advised again. Ji Lianying, come with us. Ji Lianying nodded. Okay, let's contact other students. The more people there are, the safer it will be. Zhou Mingbo was overjoyed. Okay, I'll contact you. Everyone heard that you are leaving, and they will definitely go with you. Ji Lianying is the most important source of water for all survivors of the Demon Sea Film and Television Academy. And if Ji Lianying leaves, there must be many people willing to leave with her. The more people you take away, the greater your chance of survival. Ji Lianying originally planned to leave as soon as possible, but things went against her wishes. Many people are afraid to venture out. Moreover, he was still taking a chance and felt that Lu Junpeng would not kill everyone. They didn't want to leave themselves, and they didn't want Ji Lianying and others to leave, causing a lot of noise and chaos. Zhou Mingbo, Ji Lianying and other supernatural beings struggled for more than an hour before setting off with more than 60 survivors. Dozens of survivors, including Li Min, watched the team slowly disappear into the red mist. Li Min felt that Ji Lianying had betrayed her, and her heart was filled with anger. Ji Lianying is so inhumane. As soon as she leaves, where can we get water from now on? Everyone was silent. After losing all the superpowers, everyone feels that their situation is precarious. Seeing that everyone was silent, Li Min felt fierce in his heart, and then he deceived everyone and said, "When Lu Junpeng comes to find us, if we can't hand over the water, we will be dead. Especially us women, we are afraid that it will be difficult to die by then." The girls all looked frightened. What should we do? How about going after Ji Lianying and the others? It should be too late now. It's too dangerous outside, I'm afraid. Ji Lianying doesn't think of us as sisters at all. How could you leave just now? It's so selfish. Li Min rolled his eyes and said coldly, "If you ask me, the only way to survive is to seek refuge with Lu Junpeng. As long as we tell Lu Junpeng that Ji Lianying has escaped, he will catch Ji Lianying and others, and then everyone will have water to drink. With this credit, we will definitely can survive." Everyone looked at Li Min in shock. This woman is too vicious. Ji Lianying has taken care of you for so long, and you just turned around and sold her. But some people were moved. Li Min's method is not a good one. As long as you can survive. As for what kind of revenge Ji Lianying would suffer, they didn't care. Li Min quickly said, "Whether you say it or not, I'm going anyway. Come with me now, and you will share the credit. Don't blame me for not reminding you." Under Li Min's instigation, 2 boys and 7 girls were moved and followed Li Min to inform Lu Junpeng. Zhou Mingbo walked with 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. After just a few hundred meters, he was sweating profusely. All the survivors came one after another, not daring to stay away. The field of vision in the red mist was only 5 meters. If you were a little further away, you might get separated from the main force, and you would be dead. Ji Lianying is in the middle of the team. She is everyone's source of pure water and has the best protection. Zhou Mingbo carefully distinguished the surrounding scenery. The originally familiar campus is now covered with plants, making it difficult to recognize its location. "Everyone, please work harder. The school gate should be right in front of you," Zhou Mingbo said happily. "As long as we go out, Lu Junpeng won't be able to find us." Everyone was relieved and showed a smile of escaping from death. "Where are we going to camp?" Zhou Mingbo looked at the paper map in his hand. "In order to ensure safety, we have to walk more than 2 kilometers. After leaving the school gate, walk forward 200 meters, then walk south." Ji Lianying suddenly felt a gust of wind blowing. Zhou Mingbo, who was talking eloquently, froze, and a blood mark appeared on his neck. The head slowly slid to the ground. Blood sprayed more than 2 meters high. The survivors behind him went blank. Lu Junpeng appeared at the front of the team. He swung the watermelon knife, blood stains spread all over the floor, and said with a ferocious smile, "Where do you want to go? Tell me." "Ah, Lu Junpeng is here. Zhou Mingbo is dead. Run." The survivor was instantly shocked, turned around and ran towards the school. Lu Junpeng laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha. Run. Run as hard as you can. Today, everyone will die." He stood there and rested for more than 10 seconds. His physical strength was restored to some extent, and then his body turned into a phantom and instantly hacked to death the last survivor. Lu Junpeng chased him all the way. The survivors fled in panic. Inexplicably, this group of people ran into the playground. When Lu Junpeng realized something was wrong, he couldn't even stop him with his men. In the end, Lu Junpeng and others stood at the edge of the playground with ugly expressions. No one dared to take a step. His subordinates were worried and said, "Boss, let's not go in. Brother Peng, the playground is too dangerous." Lu Junpeng angrily cut off the branches around him and said, "Mada, don't I know the danger? But that Ji Lianying also ran in. If I don't catch her, who the hell will make water for me?" Only then did everyone react, but they were still hesitant. Lu Junpeng waved his watermelon knife, stared and shouted, "Let me go in and chase you all. Just catch Ji Lianying and leave. Even if there are monsters, we'll kill those fools first, and we'll take them to the rear." Everyone cursed secretly. "You girl want to use all of us to back you up." However, no one dared to say this. Lu Junpeng is a murderous devil. Whoever dares to speak will die. Under Lu Junpeng's pressure, everyone could only grit their teeth and rush into the playground. 20 meters underground. Zhang Fan saw all this clearly and laughed with satisfaction. That's a good thing. It helps me detect that kind of monster." He followed cautiously from the ground. The empty playground on one side of the stadium is now covered with grass half deep. On the other side is the rostrum, and behind the rostrum is an indoor basketball court. Gu Lianying and other survivors originally thought that Wu Junpeng did not dare to enter the playground, but they miscalculated. Wu Junpeng and others came in, and they could only continue to escape in a panic. A few people disappeared into the lawn and red mist. Most fled into the indoor basketball court. Wu Junpeng killed a few people and rested for a while before chasing after them. As soon as Gu Lianying entered the indoor basketball court, she was stunned by what she saw. I don't know why, but the red mist here is very thin, and the field of vision is much wider. The entire basketball court is covered with thousands of translucent cocoons. These cocoons vary in size, emitting a light blue light that illuminates the entire basketball court. The most terrifying thing is that there is a human or animal trapped in each cocoon. Most of them were dead, but a few were still alive, looking numbly in the direction of everyone. Help me! Help me! In the cocoon closest to Gu Lianying, a man stretched out his hand towards her. Gu Lianying took a look and saw that it was Teacher Zhao who taught vocal music. Teacher Zhao's upper body was still alive, but his lower body had already melted into a reddish-brown liquid, dripping down and accumulating at the bottom of the cocoon. The liquid was densely covered with strange tentacle larvae. They swim and squirm in the liquid, sucking the liquid quickly. Ah! Gu Lianying vomited out on the spot. Other survivors were also trembling and at a loss. The front is blocked by the cocoon, and the killer Wu Junpeng is behind him. This time, he is really desperate. At this time, Wu Junpeng rushed in with a group of people. When he saw Gu Lianying and others standing in the open space, he shouted excitedly. Ha ha ha, run, why don't you run away? What the hell is this? Wu Junpeng and others were stunned. Maid, something's wrong. Fang Daoping was the first to react, turned around and ran away. As a result, as soon as he ran to the door of the basketball court, a huge tentacle fell from the sky and wrapped around his body. Fang Daoping shouted in horror. Let me go. He swung his sword and slashed at the tentacle. Poof! When the knife cut into the tentacle, it was like a puddle of sticky glue, unable to move at all. The tentacles pulled him up to the roof. Everyone looked up. Only then did I realize that there was a huge translucent octopus lying on the roof, its body appearing and disappearing. But it doesn't quite look like an octopus. The head looks like some kind of spider, with 3 pairs of long fangs. There are hundreds of tentacles, waving slowly in the air. Weird and evil. Everyone felt cold all over. What the hell is this? Mutant octopus. Isn't the octopus in the sea? Why is there an octopus in the school? Fang Daoping was pulled in front of the tentacle monster and screamed in horror. The tips of dozens of slender tentacles spit out transparent mucus, which flexibly shuttled over his body, like weaving cloth, and soon weaved into a huge cocoon. The tentacle monster hung the cocoon on the basketball hoop, just like other cocoons. Fang Daoping screamed, but was trapped in the sticky cocoon and could not move at all. Everyone was stunned. Through Fang Daoping's experience, everyone understood. This tentacle monster seems to have trapped them and they are not allowed to leave. At this time, a ragged man crawled out from the dark corner, laughing wildly. Ha ha ha, good to die. Everyone turned around and saw that there were 2 living people in the corner. The 2 seemed to be students at Mahai Film and Television Academy. One who was obviously delirious and crazy. The other guy was tall and looked normal. Deng Wei, you are still alive. A survivor said in surprise. You've been missing for 3 days and you're still alive. Deng Wei was delighted. Yes, I'm still alive. It's great that you are here. If you are here, I can live for a few more days. Ha 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 ha. Lu Junpeng slapped Deng Wei to the ground and roared. Where's Xiao Nima? Tell me, how did you survive? Deng Wei was still laughing and seemed a little mentally disturbed. He he he. The tentacle monster grabs a person and makes a cocoon in 1 to 2 hours. If he dies, I can live for 1 hour, he he he. Lu Junpeng's expression changed drastically. He looked up at the tentacle monster in horror. Kill 1 in 2 hours. He looked around. There are more than 40 survivors here, and you can only live for 40 or 50 hours. Lu Junpeng said firmly. No, I can't die. I must have a way to get out. Deng Wei sneered. No, you're dead. Before he finished speaking, Lu Junpeng cut off half of his neck with a knife, and repeated word for word. I told you, I will definitely be able to rush out. There was dead silence. Only the insane survivor was still laughing maniacally. Ha ha ha. Dead. All dead. He ran wildly through the venue. The tentacle monster seemed to only attack once an hour and did not attack him. Zhang Fan focused his attention on the tentacle monster. Inside the body of the tentacle monster, there was a twisted mass of flesh the size of a fist, shining in Zhang Fan's perception. The twisted flesh ball absorbs the red mist while emitting chi particles around. Strange, how can it absorb red mist? Zhang Fan frowned. This is the first creature he has discovered that actively absorbs red mist. Moreover, this tentacle monster can also release chi. Zhang Fan couldn't help but think of Zhang Zilin's breathing method. According to Zhang Zilin's description, before Hongwu, she had been practicing for decades and there was no movement. After the red mist came, she could feel the ginger position filling up. Could it be? Qi is not a product of environmental changes, but is produced by some tentacle-like animals or plants. Can I absorb this qi? Zhang Fan decided to give it a try. Judging from the brightness, the combat effectiveness of the tentacle monster is not high. The main reason is that its attack distance is extremely long, its attack method and defense capabilities are also very special. But it was ineffective for Zhang Fan. He could sink underground and escape at any time. After Zhang Fan confirmed that he was not in danger, he rose from the corner to the ground and walked out. The survivors heard footsteps and turned to look. There is actually a living person. Everyone just glanced at Zhang Fan and noticed something was wrong. Why is this guy dressed so cleanly? It's not like surviving in the apocalypse at all, it's like college students coming to the stadium to play on weekends. Moreover, this man looked very healthy, with a rosy face and bulging muscles, and no signs of hunger at all. Lu Junpeng couldn't figure it out at all, but he was secretly vigilant. Zhang Fan ignored everyone and walked directly under the tentacle monster, which was also the place where qi was densest. He sat cross-legged and practiced breathing techniques. Lu Zhen looked at Zhang Fan confused. Why is this guy here? Lu Junpeng asked. Oh, do you know him? Who is he? Lu Zhen whispered. He was the one who killed Teacher Ding and then robbed Teacher Su. It turns out that he was also trapped here. Where is Teacher Su? Was he eaten by this monster? Can he kill Ding Yusho? Lu Junpeng stared at Zhang Fan, feeling the slightest threat. Lu Junpeng stared at Zhang Fan for a long time. Zhang Fan didn't move at all, just sitting quietly. He couldn't help it anymore and asked. Hey, boy, were you arrested too? Zhang Fan still ignored him and just absorbed qi faster. He has been observing in the subspace and underground for a long time, and is completely sure that Lu Junpeng poses no threat to him. Lu Junpeng's super speed may be difficult for others to control, but to Zhang Fan, it is just a showpiece. Lu Junpeng had no strength and no speed. Zhang Fan would not be able to break a layer of skin even if he stood there and let him chop him. Moreover, no matter how fast he goes, can he surpass consciousness? Will Link is the most restrained in this ability. Zhang Fan didn't kill Lu Junpeng either. The tentacle monster will kill one person after a while. The more people here, the longer time you have to practice breathing techniques. After all, Zhang Fan was only sure of escaping, but not sure of defeating this tentacle monster. The brightness of the tentacle monster is only slightly inferior to that of the giant orange cat in Yida Plaza. Who knows what other abilities it has? Zhang Fan didn't want to know either. Therefore, Zhang Fan's plan was to seize the time to practice, and then run away with Ji Yu Lianying as soon as the survivors died. Lu Junpeng was angry, but he still didn't take action. Lu Junpeng's violent appearance hides caution. Otherwise, I wouldn't have endured it for so long just because Ding Yusho was alone. He winked, and one of his men jumped out, pointed at Zhang Fan and cursed. Hey, kid, Brother Peng is calling you. You must be deaf. Why don't you pretend to be crazy? Before he finished speaking, Zhang Fan suddenly stretched out his hand. Snapped. A slap knocked the man several meters away. Half of his teeth flew out, his cheeks swelled up quickly, blood flowed from the corners of his mouth, and he was unconscious. Lu Junpeng's men were so frightened that they backed away. He's a power user. This kid is so strong. Ji Yu Lianying and others were also on alert. This young man is another superpower. No wonder he is still alive in the monster lair. Lu Junpeng's eyes were cold, but he didn't take action, he just said arrogantly. Power person. Very good. I like you. Come hang out with me. Zhang Fan glanced at him lightly, closed his eyes and continued to practice breathing techniques. Lu Junpeng suppressed his anger. He thought he had seen Zhang Fan's true nature clearly, and he had enough confidence. Just a strong and reckless man. No way comparable to my super speed. With speed, no matter whether you want to fight or run, you can occupy an invincible position. But now is not the time to take action. This tentacle monster is the big trouble. Lu Junpeng couldn't bear it, looked up at the tentacle monster on the roof, and didn't know what he was thinking. Zhang Fan quickly practiced breathing techniques while monitoring everyone with his senses. In just 5 minutes, he felt full of ginger. Really? I can indeed absorb this qi. Zhang Fan was secretly happy. It took half an hour to fully charge on the rooftop. Zhang Fan's heart moved, and qi rushed out of ginger. He felt hot all over his body, and a lot of qi was consumed without moving. Repeated 12 times, the qi was exhausted. After being filled and released repeatedly like this, Zhang Fan felt that the ginger in his body had grown rapidly. The storage capacity of qi has also been increased, and you can use the ghost maneuver 15 times. Zhang Fan was overjoyed. Very good. Keep going. Time passed by minute. Everyone gradually became nervous. Deng Wei's words put a huge stone in everyone's heart. Suddenly, a tentacle quickly stabbed Lu Junpeng and the others. Lu Junpeng reacted and shouted, "Get out of the way." He activated his ability and ran more than 10 meters in an instant. Others were so frightened that they ran away. Lu Zhen's reaction was a bit slow and he didn't run away. The tentacles grabbed him and pulled him high into the sky. Lu Zhen struggled wildly in fear. "No, save me, help me." He hit the tentacle with his fist, and his fist fell into the tentacle and was stuck and fixed. "Help, help." Lu Zhen was even more frightened. However, all efforts are in vain. In the end, under the horrified eyes of everyone, he was wrapped in a cocoon and hung next to Fang Daoping. Fang Daoping was already unconscious. Lu Zhen glanced at Fang Daoping and screamed like a woman in fright. "Ah, no, no." In just over an hour, Fang Daoping's feet had melted into liquid, and bits of flesh and blood were peeled off from his legs, dripping down. Lu Junpeng also looked livid. All the survivors were terrified. Zhang Fan raised his head and looked calmly. He was not nervous at all. The speed of the tentacles is indeed very fast, but my overall physical fitness has been strengthened to 90, so I can still react. Once the tentacles attack you, just activate the virtualization and escape. Now continue with the breathing method. In more than an hour, he had filled it repeatedly a dozen times. Ginger is twice as big as before, and the number of ghost maneuvers reaches at least 30 times. The current ginger, it can no longer be called ginger, it now looks like a miniature tree. Roots, trunks, branches, and leaves all grew. The whole body is green, exuding a refreshing green light, making it appear full of vitality. There are also several small fruits growing on the tree, ranging in size from big to small, in different colors and shapes. Zhang Fan counted them carefully, there were 7 in total. Why 7? 7 gourd dolls. Zhang Fan was confused. He pondered for a while, could it be? It's a superpower. The number of abilities I currently have is exactly 7. Perception, physical enhancement, virtualization, subspace travel, will link, energy and blood burst, life stimulation. What kind of tree is this? Devil fruit tree. The tree of all dharma. If I gain new powers, can I grow new fruits? Zhang Fan could only make random guesses without any clue. Red mist, fruit of enlightenment, light speed evolution of animals and plants, tree of all dharma, high-level divine concealment. I even got a system. It's getting more and more mysterious. Zhang Fan looked at the translucent tentacle monster above his head. At this time, Jiyu Lianying and 3 survivors came over. Zhang Fan turned around and looked. These 4 people all have ginger in their bodies and are superpowers. The 3 people are green like Zhang Fan. Only the ginger in Jiyu Lianying's body is blue. So far, Zhang Fan has discovered a total of 4 colors of ginger: green, blue, gold, and gray. Green has the largest number, followed by blue. Jin appeared once, the bald man he met in Yida Plaza. Gray appeared once, it was Zhang Zilin. In addition, whether animals are powerful or not has little to do with ginger. The mutated frog in the wealth center has a blue ginger. A large number of mutated animals do not have ginger. For example, that orange cat has no ginger in his body and is still ridiculously strong. There is also the white eyes of the husky. When Jong Fan first saw it, there was no ginger, but it had obviously mutated or evolved by then. Later, after Jong Fan fed it the enlightenment fruit, green ginger appeared in Bayan's body. In other words, animals, just like humans, will grow ginger and gain some kind of superpower after eating the enlightenment fruit. However, even if animals do not eat the fruits of enlightenment, many animals can mutate independently, which is something humans do not possess. Gu Lianying and the other four stepped forward and took the initiative. "Hello, classmate." Jong Fan glanced at Gu Lianying. This girl was indeed very beautiful, almost more beautiful than all of Jong Fan's women. The most rare thing is that she has an elegant and refined temperament. Even though she was on the run, her clothes were dirty and her hair had not been washed for a long time, it was still difficult to conceal her unique temperament. Gu Lianying. Age, 20. Quality, 9.5 points. Mortal fairy. Women's virtue, 10 points. Not considered human affairs. Comprehensive score, 9.5 points. Sure enough, it was another 9.5. So far, only Hu Lily among the group of women has reached 9.5 points. In fact, Hu Lily's appearance does not overwhelm the other girls, but her figure is too dominant and ridiculously big, which is why she has received such a high rating. Gu Lianying is different. This girl can get a score of 9.5 just by being a. I can fight purely by my appearance and temperament. Very good, mine. Jong Fan showed a meaningful smile. What's up? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.